So what got me to that point is, like I said, we were all alcoholics. I got home from the gym one day and pulled in my garage. My gun was by my side, and I looked at the house that I lived in with my ex-wife. I'm getting med boarded out of the military. My family just showed up last month for the first time they seen my house. I've got my whole life set up. Look at this nice house. Look at my nice car. Look at everything. My life is set. A month later, I'm getting discharged. So I held a gun to my head, called my brother. I don't want to say I regret. Should not have put him in that situation, but I had no one else to call. And in the end, he saved my life.
Right. Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm here with Trevor Blaszczyk, and we are going to be talking about basically his life, his channel, and what led up to it. So it's an interesting story. Check this out. We ended up meeting each other like in the gym, right?
Yep.
And so you're come on the channel, and you started a channel what, 6 months ago?
Yeah, around about 6 months ago, I moved back home, and then back to Florida after the military, and started a mental health podcast with my.
Were you born in Florida?
No, so I was born in Chicago, was raised there for 17 years, and then I was raised by my grandmother, so I got a tattoo and everything. She passed away 2013. And we moved after that. So I moved to Florida my senior year of high school, graduated down the road from here.
Okay.
And then got another gym experience. My brother was walking into the gym, and the recruiter asked him if he'd want to join.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
I just graduated. And my brother was walking in. He said, no, I don't want to join, but here's my brother's number. And the recruiter called me and said, yeah, sure, why not? And ended up just joining.
Had you thought about joining the military?
Yeah, so all growing up, my grandma was like, "Oh, look at this Marines commercial." I would be sitting there as a kid, and it'd be like the cool, like,
yeah, you might want to think about that.
Like, look at these badass Marines jumping off and these cool commercials. And I knew my brothers weren't going to do it. I'm not going to let my sister do it. And then I ended up
nobody has to do it.
Nobody had to do it. No, right. Nobody had.
I mean, somebody has to do it, but it's not like they're saying, "Hey, we need at least one person per family." There's 5 of you. One of the 5 of you has.
Well, I mean, come on. There's four kids in the family, 3 men, and my grandpa actually was in the Navy for a little bit. So I was like, I feel like I should do something.
Right.
So yeah, I ended up doing the Army just because personal reasons, and I actually just told the recruiter, look, I just want to work on helicopters. So here's 10 different jobs I'd like to do. And he called me the next morning saying, hey, we got one for helicopter engines for a 20 grand signing bonus if you get here like now.
Get out of here.
I ran downstairs. I was like, Mom, you're saying like right now if I sign up, I get 20 grand.
And you'd already taken the test?
Yeah.
Because like when you walk in the door, they say, okay, first thing you got to do is like take the test.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so I took the test, and I initially wanted to be a combat engineer. And it sounds so cool. They make all these fancy names. So I was just a helicopter engine mechanic, but it's like aircraft power plant repairman. So like as a kid, you're like, ooh, what is this?
Right.
And so you just join thinking it's so badass. But I want to be a combat engineer, but that's just the guy putting bombs down on the field, making bridges for the infantrymen to walk across or whatever it is. So you're in the front line. And my recruiter, who was a sniper.
It still sounds kind of cool.
But my recruiter.
It's not the flashy job.
And someone who gets a higher score and who's smarter, you're not going to want to do that. So I was just watching Lex Friedman. He was saying the people in Ukraine, no matter what they are, the men are just going to fight. Lawyer, doctor, whatever it is, everyone's going to fight. You don't want to do that though.
No,
you want the person who's smart, and you want them in the back.
Yeah. Well,
you send someone out there who's smart and ends up dying. Now you got no one to fix your helicopter engine.
Right.
So my recruiter was like, dude, I can't let you just pick that.
I was going to say, it's funny too, because the scores also, like, if you score higher, like the highest, I think is it the Air Force?
Man, I don't even remember, to be honest. Air Force are the smartest, yes.
Yeah, because you're talking about aeronautics, you're never flying, you're talking about like you got to know some stuff.
Yeah. And
and there's a lot more schooling involved too.
Yeah, and it's each. If you want to be like a nuclear engineer or whatever it is, they all got
submarines.
It's like 120 ASVAB score.
Right.
I don't know the correlation to your actual IQ or anything. Or
I had a buddy who was in the. I went to school with the guy that was in the Army, but he ended up but he scored really high. But for some reason, he just wanted to go to the Army, and he went to the Army, and he ended up in military intelligence in the Army.
Yeah, well, a lot of the reason is because like in the Navy. I believe it's the Navy, you choose your career field and they choose your job. In the Air Force, No, I'm sorry, the Air Force, that's what happens. You choose your career field and they're like, here you go, you're working this. The Army, you get to choose your exact job. So mine was between the Air Force and the Army because I didn't care. I just wanted to work on helicopters. So it could have worked. I could have just walked in and said, let me work on helicopters.
Right.
Army had a better helicopter unit. So went over to the Army and actually was able to pick the actual job I got. And then through that, I got very lucky. It's called DA selected. So I was actually going to end up in Korea. They saw my score, my ASVAB score, and they saw my PT test. And they're like, look, we're not going to just send you to Korea. We have special ops. So I wanted to put my packet in. I called my mom like, hey, I was thinking about putting my packet in. Called my fiance at the time, hey. And the packet is just all my information so they can choose me. But the recruiter said it's a little more dangerous. I'll be doing more things. I go overseas more often. And of course, to my mom, she's like, what, are you crazy? No, hell no.
You'll be gone for longer
Yeah,
stretches.
exactly. No, they're actually shorter stretches. So that was the catch, is you're gone more often, but shorter stretches. So I was able to get 3-month deployments instead of 9.
Okay.
Very lucky. Rather prefer that, but even still then a marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage will not last that. So yeah, I got very lucky. They picked me out of the hat. Hey, you're going over to Tennessee. So it's another part of training for special operations that I had to do. After that, went right into my job. And that's when I met my co-host to my podcast, my leader, Kevin Daler. Kevin, shout out to Kevin. He he watched me from 19 to basically who I am now. So
Right.
He saw the little annoying kid coming in from high school, saw me with the wife, he could even see, like, he could see what was going on, like, from a distance. He was just watching me as a person. And he's just, I don't know, just to hear him talk about it now is just really cool because he looks at me and saw all the potential in me.
Right.
But he saw I was getting dragged down and dragged down and dragged down and dragged down. So then eventually I get trained up. I end up going overseas in 2019. Go overseas to Iraq for the first time. Meet the best people I've ever met in my life. One's actually my sister's fiance now. We went over there.
Would you set him up?
Yeah,
okay.
No, it's the craziest
Nice.
story. It's the craziest story. Big Jack dude. Everyone wanted to work out with him. We're all sleeping like right next to each other. The gym's right there, so we got nothing else to do except work out.
Yeah. I mean, you can also
And
move
they're like,
this too. Like, don't
yeah, I
be
guess,
afraid.
yeah.
To, you know.
And they're like, Brian, please come work out with me. For some reason, he chose me. Just another weird thing. Chose me to work out with him. Go to work out with him, and then we ended up having to move from Iraq to Afghanistan. And yeah, I think it's still 2019. And we picked up literally everything we had there. All the helicopters. We tore the helicopters down, put them in a big airplane, flew them over to Afghanistan. And then when I showed up in Afghanistan, my fiance at the time said, hey, I just got the 9th bridesmaid for my wedding. 9. So I needed to find another person, another man. So I needed a 9th groomsman up there. And I just looked to my roommate and said, hey, man, would you want to, I'll split the suit with you if you can just show up. So he said, yeah, split the suit with him. And he met my sister, and now they're getting married in September.
Nice.
So just another crazy thing. But yeah, while I was over in Iraq, the biggest thing to do in any military town, there's going to be about 3 bars. I
don't think of Iraq as a military or
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Afghanistan?
this is in Clarksville. I'm sorry. Clarksville, Tennessee. So the only really thing to do, and this is why there's a huge alcoholic problem in the military, is you get off of work, and everyone in the military thinks you just go drink. We can all just go drink. Who cares? Let it loose. And there's 2-3 bars in every town near the military bases, and most military bases have a little ghetto near them. So we had a great little bar we all went to. It was a little, it's a line dancing bar, and my fiance loved that, so she was there all the time. And
was she in the military?
no,
Okay.
she was not. I brought her up from here actually. I met her down here, and shoot, where was I going? I lost my train.
You were in the bar.
Oh yeah,
line dancing.
So line dancing, yeah. So we didn't have a problem. I bring all my friends. We'd go line dancing, and she knew all the people at the bar. So she was the person to know at the bar because she can line dance. This is new to me because I didn't go to bars or anything.
Right.
So everybody knew her, and she would dance with everybody. And I didn't see it as a problem. You just go ahead. It's just dancing. I don't care. You come dance with me. You dance with them, whatever. And then I started bringing all my friends. So all my friends would come. She would bring her friends. We'd all meet up here. And then when I left to go to Afghanistan, all my friends were still going. And then they would run into her, or they'd go together.
Are you married at this point?
Yes.
So you'd already
married.
Okay.
Yeah, we're already married. And then, so just overseas one day.
Where were you stationed? Sorry, at this point.
This was Clarksville, Tennessee.
No, where were you stationed in? Were you in Afghanistan at this point?
So at this point, when they're all going out, I was in. It's hard because it was happening both times, both deployments. So I was in Iraq at one of the times. So the first year I went for a deployment, my first deployment ever, I went overseas, and there was just some hiccups. I knew she was going to the bar without me and all that, and I just felt uneasy.
It's intuition. You can just feel something's not.
And that, I think you mentioned that on like your whatever one I just watched. You mentioned that same thing.
Well, I mean, I think people a lot of time, even when it's fraud or something, like, you know, you go in, like a lot of times, like, you know, the teller or the manager or the broker will feel like something's not right. They can't. Everything's right, but something's wrong. It's just, and I always use the same excuse as. It's the same thing as like every woman or man that's being cheated on knows it internally before. Nothing's changed. She came home at the right time.
Yep.
She answered all my texts. Everything was going along. And then whenever you talk to these people, you know, but you felt like it. You start asking more questions, this and that. What's wrong? What's happening? And when you look back, you're like, well, what was it? I don't know. I just knew something was wrong. How? I don't know. What's wrong?
Yeah, I was just sitting there and just felt something up.
Yeah,
you know, like, or if she wasn't. So what really ended up drawing the straw? So the first deployment, she was going out and doing that, and there was a year in between my deployments. So it was a summer in 2019 and summer in 2022. So the first summer, I came back home for that year. I wanted to work on the relationship, get it all to going, and was making more friends, trying to just heal my life back up, and you know,
right.
And we talked about it a little bit. Look, I don't want you going out without me. You know, this is what I'd like to do, and this is what I see happening if we don't do it.
Yeah.
And then I went overseas again. This time.
But does she have a job?
She does.
She has a job, but are you contributing to, like you're sending your checks back? Or are you paying?
I'm paying everything, really. Okay. And she gets her money, you know.
Your money.
We were sharing bank accounts. And she just spent all the money, basically. And I mean, I'm in Iraq. What am I going to spend it on?
Right. Well, your money is our money. Her money's her money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So
right. Didn't we just hear that? We were just listening. Some girl was like, "Yeah, you know, our money is our money. You know, my money's my money." It's like, really? Like, and you're okay? You think that sounds right? And there's girls like, "Yeah, well, no, that's right. No, is it?
Just not fair.
I feel like it's right.
Just not fair.
Like, because, you know, to me, it's like, look, it's kind of like, it's like saying, look, you're gone 9 months. She's what, 22, 23?
Yeah, she's a year. She was a year older than me the whole time.
Okay, so she's 20, what, 23,
23, 22 to 20.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that for a 22-year-old who's going out, who's attractive, who has a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You're gone for 9 months. Look, I you know, to me, it's almost like, look, it's almost forgivable because I get it. It's a strenuous time. The guy's gone. I get that.
Yeah.
But you couple in the fact that I'm also paying all of your bills.
Like the house, everything.
Right. Like it's starting to be, I can't. It's starting to get unforgivable.
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point. Like, I'm rooting for you. I want to forgive you, but damn, you could have left me with some money.
Well, the biggest thing is because I don't really want to say like sheltered as a child, but I wasn't really exposed to the world as much. I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago, right next to Chicago Heights, like literally across the street, right next to Gary, Indiana, right next to Harvey. So all these bad places, and I wasn't really exposed, I guess.
But you weren't running the streets.
No, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I went to school, went home, worked, went to hockey, came home. Never was involved with girls, really. I was annoying little kids.
Right.
Never was really involved. So this was like my real first experience with fall
in love. You want to
fall in love, and in the Army, it's you double your pay if you get married. Double your pay will give you a house, pretty much. This is how it goes. If you double your pay, you get BAH now. You get the basic housing allowance, basic supply allowance, so for food. So you're doubling your pay. Why would you not do it? I found a nice, attractive girl from Florida.
Yeah.
I could double my pay. We can move into a house in Tennessee. We're living a dream.
Right.
Until I'm over in Iraq, and I'm like, hey, you went out again. You didn't respond to my phone call. You didn't respond to my text. What happened? I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. So, we went out. So, okay, this cannot happen again.
Right.
This was on like a Friday or whatever it was. This cannot happen again. She says, okay, it won't happen again, blah, blah, blah. So that for that, like the next 2 days while I'm overseas, I'm texting her like, look, this is what we need to do to save this relationship. So this is what I think. And while I'm over here, you need to be doing this. Next week on a Saturday, she's supposed to be working, gets off at noon. And I text her. She was texting me back. And then from noon all the way until the next morning, I got nothing. No text, no call, no nothing. And I'm overseas in Iraq. Like, you should be attentive to me. So why am I not getting anything?
How hard is it to maintain at least the illusion that you're faithful? Like,
exactly.
It's like put some effort in.
Yeah.
Like the guy that you're screwing around with, like is he saying, no, don't text him. Don't text him, motherfucker. You're the side dude. Like, I got to text this guy. Like, you're just somebody. You're just you're just person I'm spending some time with. Like, go fuck yourself. I got to at least make this guy think that things are still good and I'm a decent human being. Like, give me a chance here. But
this was the straw that really made me think that something was really up, because and for that full year, the first year when I was in Afghanistan, I was calling my mom. I was a kid. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
I said,
it's
Mom,
scary.
please help me out. What do I do? So I'm crying on the phone in the middle of Afghanistan to my mom, and then can't prove anything. She won't admit to anything. Of course. And I just felt like, look, if I don't give it my all one more time, because she won't admit it, I have a gut feeling. If my gut feeling's wrong, I feel like shit.
Right.
So let me give it my all one more time. So that's when I spent that whole year with her. And then I didn't get a call back for that whole day. At 5 a.m. on a Sunday, I called Kevin, the co-host of my podcast, and I said, Kevin, you're the only one I know that is up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday. I know you're about to go running right down the street from my house. Can you please stop by my house and see if there's any car in the driveway? I just have a weird feeling there should only be one car, white Equinox, and that's it.
Right.
If anything, because the garage is open, she could park in there.
Right.
He drives by, and there's a white Jeep in my driveway.
You know you have a buddy with a white Jeep?
I know exactly whose white Jeep it is. So I said, Kevin, I don't really know what to do. Why don't I hang up and I'll call her on FaceTime? Let me just try and FaceTime her. FaceTime her a couple times, 3-4 times, no answer. 2 minutes go by. So I call Kevin again.
You didn't call your buddy?
I called him again.
No, I meant like the guy with the Jeep?
No. I wish I would have. But this is why I tried calling him after the fact. I should have called him first instead of her.
Right.
But I knew she was just as guilty because she just did this last year. So both parties are guilty, and I didn't care whose fault it was or whatever, And then Kevin goes right down the block, parks in the school just to come right back like 5 minutes later. So when she's not answering, I'm like, Kevin, are you sure, dude? And now I'm doubting my best friend ever. Like, I'm doubting him. Like, he's telling me there's not a car in my driveway. I'm like, dude, you got to take a picture or something. I don't believe you. Like, this is completely unbelievable. So he takes a picture and sends it over to me. I get a picture of a dude's Jeep in my driveway while I'm in Iraq. And he's like, dude, I'm not lying to you. Like, I can't place the Jeep here. So after 2 minutes, she FaceTimes me back. She's like, what's going on? What's wrong? I said, don't say anything. Go downstairs, go outside, and show me whose car is in the driveway. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, just go downstairs. I don't care. Yeah. Good morning. Go downstairs and open the door, see who's in the driveway. She's like, no one's in the driveway. I was like, okay, no one's in the driveway.
Then it shouldn't be a problem.
Pan around the room then. If no one's in the driveway, then no one should be in your room either. Pan around the room. What are you talking about? No one's in the room. Look, even in the closet. It's like, why would you show me the closet? She goes downstairs, opens the door. The car is gone. The Jeep is gone. He's gone. My friend's like, what the fuck? Where'd he go? Because my friend didn't see him leave. He's gone, man. Completely gone. And I'm texting the dude, why are you not answering my phone? What are you doing at my house while I'm overseas? What's going on? 30 minutes go by. He texted me back and she texted me back So now they got a story together. Look, he was here dropping me off last night because one of the dudes was too drunk to drive. The other dude had to drive. Oh, just a whole bunch of bullshit. Oh, why were you there that early in the morning then? Oh, well, we were dropping her off last night, and then I had to come back in the morning because I went and took a piss in your bushes. Or someone else took a piss in your bushes, and they think they dropped their keys in your lawn.
This is a great story.
Unbelievable. Someone
you guys
pissed in my bushes while I'm overseas and then dropped their keys there. So you got to come back after a night out on Saturday at 5 a.m. to pick up the keys.
Yeah, and she didn't answer the phone all day. Were you in the hospital? Were your service shut off?
Craziest shit, man. So that was just one dude. The other dude, they're still living together now. They're over and wherever the fuck living happily ever after or whatever it is. But
good for
that
her.
dude ended up. He was a good friend of mine. Good.
Listen,
good friend.
We need to talk about what your definition of a good friend.
I should say more of an acquaintance. He was at the bars along with me and my friends. Right. I never really associated, come over, let's hang out, really.
Right.
The second guy though, I was friends, played Xbox, all that stuff, let's go running or whatever it is. We were friends. And this guy completely lied to my face. After I got home, after she moved out, and I had him over at my house with all my buddies. So ballsy move on his end to even come.
Right.
Because he should have already known we're suspicious. He comes over and I just shake his hand because he's about to leave. Shake his hand. Hey, man, anything ever happen?
Right.
Just because I've always had a weird vibe between their little connection. And then even my sister, when she'd come up, she noticed it. So I was like, hey, man, did anything ever happen? So what are you talking about? No. Okay, man, I just wanted to make sure. Mind you, this guy works with us. He works in the gun room, the arms room. So we have to go to him to get our guns to go overseas and shit. So we still have to interact with him, and he has to come to us to interact with us at work, in the military post at work. So he never talks to anyone in my shop ever again right after this moment. So for about a year, he's coming in hey guys, I need some help. Won't talk to anybody because he can't.
Right.
He can't. He knows everybody's got my back.
Right.
So he can't talk to anybody. And now, him and her end up going to live, doing their thing. She moves out.
And he's still in the military?
He was still in the military at this time, yes. So he's out now, but she ends up moving out, getting her own place. I'm doing my own thing. I'm a single man for about 6 months. I'm playing hockey every day in Nashville as much as I can. So I get off work, go play at 9 p.m., come back. She said, hey, why don't you come over after hockey? We're divorced. 6 months has gone by. Why don't you come over after hockey? I'm like, this is weird. I'm just trying to figure what the hell's going on? Come over because I'm a dude. And of course, why would I not? I just had a long, great hockey game.
Right.
Had a couple beers, it's hockey. And then walk up. She said, just walk in, come upstairs, do your thing. I walk in, go upstairs. In the first room, there's shit in there. I'm like, whose shit is this? It's like a furnished room in here with an Xbox. So I walk into her room. I'm like, whose shit is in the other room? You didn't tell me you were living with anyone. Oh, that's Thomas's. I said, what? He's living with you? Yeah, he just lives in the other room. So you never told me this shit. Come to find out, I end up leaving. I just get up, walk out. I go home. The next day, because he works with me, I can see where he's at if he's over in Georgia or wherever. He's overseas.
So he's overseas. She invites you over.
She gets me to come over. And then I'm like, so
she's got it's a little merry-go-round of people as they're deployed. It's like, damn, he's gone for 6 months. Okay, you're up.
Yeah. And this is not abnormal. I wish I could say this isn't a normal thing to be happening in the military. This happens way more often than not.
Right.
Way more often than not. And it's completely brutal, and that's why we have a 22 a day suicide rate. Jesus. That's the veteran suicide. 22 veterans.
People a day?
22 veterans a day.
So there's people
Because
that
shit
are
like
active
this.
military?
Veterans.
Veterans. Just people that have been
I
in the
want to
military.
say, yeah, they're affiliated with the military, yeah. Wow. 22 a day.
Right? Doesn't it seem
That's
excessive?
brutal. That's brutal. Because you got to think, you're giving people with all, the 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So they're in their adolescence. You're teaching them everything. So I learned everything from the military.
Right.
And now I'm coming home to my parents who think they raised me, we raised them to 19. Well, now they have no idea who I am because I went overseas twice. I was trained by the military in my adolescence. So like right when I'm getting ready to become part of society.
Yeah.
So now all I'm thinking about is how the military taught me what do I got to do at the gym for someone, like even walking up to you. I'm like, if I walk up to him behind him, what's going to happen to me? I got to find a time to go to him to where I'm not threatened, where I know nothing's going to happen to me at least. And that's just at the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm harmless, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That was just how, that was in my head. I don't want anything.
No, I've dated a couple of girls. It's funny you say Clarksville.
Yeah, Clarksville. Okay. Yeah.
So, I made like a fake bank one time, and it was called Southern Exchange Bank of Clarksville.
Nice.
And it was because I was living in Tennessee, and my girlfriend at the time had just gotten out of the military, and she was living in Clarksville. That's where I met this chick. I started dating her, and I was in Tennessee. I was in Nashville. That's where I lived there for like a year and a half. But it's like her. Same thing. Jess also was in the military. How it is. They teach you how to pack your clothes.
Yep.
They teach you how to make your bed, and I mean pack and both of them say, "Dude, boom, boom," and they roll it up tight, and they do that. Like you've got. It's like, this is nuts. Like everybody does everything exactly the same. Everything from the beds to every single thing, and it's
I got very lucky.
Yeah.
I got very
It's
lucky.
funny, both of them to this day. Well, I don't know about Amanda, but both of them were out of the military, still make their bed, do there's certain things that you do because it's ingrained into you.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no sleep until fucking 8 and 9 o'clock, and
no,
we're
and
all
so
getting up at
that was the thing.
4 or 5 in the morning. It's like no matter what.
Yeah.
Why? Because I did that for fucking 5 years or 6 years or something.
Yeah, I called my buddy and said, I'm waking up at 5 with my girlfriend. She works at 7. He's like, dude, what the hell are you waking up at 5? You did that in the military. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to break.
Because I can do it. I know I can do it now. Why would I not do it? I know how beneficial it is to do it. If I'm sleeping until 8, 9, I feel almost like shit. I'm sleeping until 8.
Yeah, I feel useless. I get up and I feel like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah, and that's 8. 8's not bad.
Well, I have to get up because they serve chow, and I got to be there for chow, and then I got to go to the rec yard. And then the reason I wake up at a certain time is different than yours.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, that was another thing is and me and my friends talk about this on my podcast is it's hard to compare, but the military is similar to the prison.
Oh, listen, there's a whole unit. There's 180 guys in a unit. That's the military unit, and all of them say the same thing. They're like, I was in the military for 12 years. It's the same thing. Like, trust me, you'd be shocked at the similarity.
Wow, you're saying people in prison were saying this?
Yeah, there's a military unit, right? So they have a special unit for just the military.
For Leavenworth, right?
No,
you're just talking about
not anywhere, but in the low security. They have, it's 12 units. One of the unit, 9, there's 9 units. One of the units is the military unit. And so when you show up at Coleman, if you have military service, then you get to go in the military unit. And the military unit is much nicer than the other units. It's also much, much more quiet than the other units. And they get special privileges.
Yeah, guards probably treat you a little better.
Yeah, well, some of these guys, they were in there fucking 20 years, 30 years, 5 years, or 5 or 6 years, 10 years, but they're all veterans. And but yeah, and you talk to them, and they're like, honestly, this isn't that much different. Like, getting your clothes assigned to you, standing in line for chow. Of course, the military eats better, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that they're like, all the similarities is insane.
We probably have the same powder eggs as you guys. If I had to put money on that, you had powder eggs in there.
No, we had hard-boiled eggs.
That's what I would eat because the powder eggs were so bad. Hard-boiled eggs.
But
hard-boiled eggs and paninis overseas.
So back to Clarksville. You're in Clarksville.
Yeah,
you were in Clarksville.
I'm in Clarksville. I forgot where I was at there.
I guess you'd been divorced. Your girl was.
Yep, the dude's not talking to us at all anymore.
Right.
And still in Clarksville. And this.
Did you go?
So I get divorced around 2021, 2020, October. I don't even remember anymore. 2 years ago. Yeah, 2021. Get divorced, finalize it all. It took like 2 months.
But
I
you're still in
didn't
the
know that.
you're still in the military.
Yeah, still in the military. But then, so my whole dream as a kid was to grow up, be in the military 20 years because my grandma. Then I take a flight over to Indiana to help fix a helicopter from Clarksville. And on the way back from Indiana, I laid down on the helicopter. Just take a nap. Wake up, my back's hurting like a motherfucker. Like my back is pounding. I'm 23 years old. Go in, get it checked out. They're like, let's get you x-rays. And in our unit, there was 2 ways you get checked out, by a civilian or by someone in the Army. They got both doctors. The civilian takes over a lot of the like easy work because the Army doctor has to do, like, if you're getting chaptered out for medical reasons or anything like that, a civilian can't do that.
Right.
So for me, I was getting chaptered out, or even to start the paperwork to get you out of the Army for medical reasons, it has to be someone in the Army to do that.
Right.
So the civilian couldn't do anything for me. I go to get x-rays, come back. He said, you're fine. There's no worries. I don't know what you're talking about. Go over and go to orthopedics, get implants for your shoes, get the soles for your shoes. So, okay, that's what they had me do 3 years ago, and it didn't work. So I end up coming back like a week later because I played hockey. And I was playing goalie. Someone shot the puck with like 2 seconds left. We were up by 3. Shot the puck from the corner and hits my shin. Like, I don't know how it squeezed in through the goalie pad. Never seen it before. Hits my shin and bruised my shin. So I go in the next day, again to the aid station to get my shin checked out because now I think my shin's fucked up. And I get an Army lady checking me out. And she's like, yeah, your shin's fine. You'll be fine. We'll give you some ibuprofen, some water. You'll be good to go. That's the Army way. Ibuprofen and some water. Is there anything else you need help with? I'm like, no, I think that's fine. Just my shin hurts a little bit, bruised, but I got a hockey game in 2 days, so we'll find out. She's like, okay, well, so you have scoliosis. I was like, what? I don't have scoliosis. I've never heard of that. I played hockey all growing up, played baseball growing up. I never had scoliosis. She had 3 monitors. One was the Army regulation saying I can't be in the Army anymore because of scoliosis. The next was my x-ray, and the next was my medical records.
So why didn't the
civilian didn't care because he can't put the paperwork in anyways.
Okay, it's just not his department.
Yeah. No, it is. He just didn't give a shit. He's been doing it. Old dude, been doing it for 25 years. Was in the Army for 25 years too. So he's like 65 years old. He doesn't want.
You don't want to fuck with the
for
paperwork,
a little scoliosis, because I got a minor case.
Right.
But someone who cares about you, someone who's in the military and knows that if I stay in, my scoliosis is going to get much worse, and then it'll end up being a lawsuit or whatever it is. The Army's going to be in even more debt. So I end up getting. She starts my paperwork like the next day to get medically discharged. That is never set in stone until you're about a month out from actually getting discharged. So I had about 7 months of maybe you're getting discharged, maybe you're not. We don't really know. But for now, just kind of hang tight. So for about 7 months, I was doing about nothing. Just hanging loose, getting my life back together. And that's when I started drinking a little bit. So me and my buddies were drinking when I got divorced. We all were going out acting fools, drinking because that's the Army thing. We all ended up looking at each other one day and just like, look, man, we can't be doing this anymore.
Right.
This is getting old. We're putting our lives in danger. And about the next month, Kevin, my co-host, he was just, look, man, you're getting out. Maybe, have you ever tried marijuana? I was like, no, my parents all growing up, never, nothing. He's like, you should give it a go. So I get out and I start smoking, and from there on, I started working on my mental health, thinking what really have I been taught all growing up? What really has been going on with my mind? What's been instilled in me? And how could I change that to optimize my life and the life of people around me? Like, so how can I show other people this is how to live?
Did you just skip over the part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what got me to that point is, like I said, we were all alcoholics, and we all had to stop. So I ended up stopping, and I got home from the gym one day and pulled in my garage. My gun was by my side, and I looked at the house that I lived in with my ex-wife, and I looked at what was all leaving me. I'm getting med boarded out of the military. my family just showed up last month for the first time. They seen my house. So my family just came from Florida last month to finally see what I've done for my life.
Right.
I've got my whole life set up. Look at this nice house. Look at my nice car. Look at everything. My life is set. It's all legal.
Right.
Nothing's going wrong. A month later, I'm getting kicked out, and not kicked out, discharged. So I held a gun to my head, called my brother, which I don't want to say I regret, but I feel really bad because it was my little brother. He was 19 at the time.
Right.
I should not have put him in that situation. But I had no one else to call. And in the end, he saved my life. He said, dude, you can't do this. If you do this, I'm going to do it. And then I was like, what?
Right.
And put it down. So after that, it kind of hit me. And I went to Kevin. And Kevin said, look, man, you got to try something else. Try this. So I started smoking to just settle down. And then once I got out, like we were talking earlier, I started doing psilocybin to help me with just kind of focus on what my mind was actually going through on a daily basis, what I was actually thinking about. Because
is that something you get from how do you say it?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin?
Yes.
Is that something you say, or you get from a doctor?
Yeah, so you could go and get it through a doctor. Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Okay.
But it's legal, so you should,
right.
or illegal, so you should not do it. But you should not.
But you feel like it helps.
But yeah, it's incredible. The studies that are coming out, they're opening a lab in Georgia for producing it.
Right.
They're gonna start producing it now.
Well, I heard
federally, I think it is.
PSTD. I heard that it was, or that
PTSD.
PTSD. I had heard that they were doing studies with, is it ecstasy?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard this. I heard this like a year ago that they were saying that they're actually talking about making ecstasy, a form of it, prescribable because it helps so much with PTSD.
Yeah,
PTSD.
Yeah, post-traumatic.
Just because when people tell me that it's like everything feels good, like you want to be. It's the opposite of PTSD. Like you want to be around other people. You want to be touched.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever. Yeah, you.
I've never done it. I've never done it, but I've.
Yeah, it's like it's so hard to explain because it puts me in a better mood from the get go if I wake up and now they make microdose spray. So psilocybin comes in mushrooms and all this. So people have been doing mushrooms, and then during Reagan's time, that's when it all blew up. People were going crazy, the hippie era, and all that, and then.
Before Reagan, but yeah. I hear you.
Nixon. Is it Nixon? Or Nixon?
Yeah, it would be the 60s and 70s. Yeah, Reagan was like the 80s.
Yeah, right. Reagan was the one who banned them, though, isn't it? Reagan put him on the list, I believe.
I have no idea. Listen, Reagan did all kinds of. I mean, and the funny thing is, like, I think Ronald Reagan was probably one of. I always say this to my girlfriend, like, he was greatest president ever.
Dude, I was just scrolling.
But he did some horrible. Like, now he did some things that were like, for me, it was like way overboard. Like, part of it is like the war on drugs. And it's like some of the stuff he did, it's like the same charge that was going to get you a year before is now getting you 20 years.
20 years.
Like, and there's no parole. Like, you're telling me that you're going to do 85% of it. I mean, and they just started building prisons. They couldn't build them fast enough. When Bill Clinton came in, Clinton, a Democrat, built more prisons in the prison sentence and in the prison system than any president ever. But I'm saying, but all of that stems from Reagan's war on drugs. He changed the system,
right?
And it just became brutal,
right?
I mean,
I was on it's Twitter, so what?
Right.
But someone asked, what was the peak of human? Like, have we peaked yet as a civilization or not? And all the comments were saying 1984, 1984, 1984, 1984. So I had to see, why does everyone like Reagan so much? But like you said, he did a lot of good things, but he's got a couple of things.
Yeah, he was a great spokesman. He was a great statesman. He was, he was a great negotiator. He was, but then there were a lot of things that he did that were, semi underhand. Look, listen, you just don't get to that height without doing some sleazy stuff, and sometimes like the best course of action for the country, or you feel this is the best course of action. Yeah, and there are so many things that are in your way. You start trying to work around those things, and that's when it becomes illegal.
Yeah,
but
that's politics, baby.
Yeah, but I just don't think that like you hear the right talking about, how they this and they that. You hear the left talking about, well, they this, well, they that. What the problem is look, there's probably equal corruption in both sides.
Oh yeah.
So, but what's working?
That was one of the hardest things. That's why I'm very fortunate I was getting out of the military, because Joe Biden came in.
Right.
And that just, like, the morale of the whole army, you like
drop.
Like everybody, man, you could just see it. Everyone knew, and then you end up with COVID, and you're kind of like, is the government scamming everybody all the time? And now everyone in the army is like, am I getting scammed? Like, actively right now? Are they scamming me?
And you were telling me when they pulled out of Afghanistan, you felt like, fuck, I've been there.
Yeah, man.
Years.
I mean, we just picked up everything. I mean, we were working night and day. It was 24-hour shifts, like tearing down a helicopter, building it back up the next day so that we could fly and catch bad guys in the middle of Afghanistan. We were. And it was every day we were coming home with someone new, every single day. And then I get home a couple months later, and we're just, hey, we need someone to go over to Afghanistan for 6 months because we'll be pulling out. Just be ready. And like I was telling you, we were lucky enough to have 2 to 3 month deployments. So this was unheard of. We go over there. And then my buddy Kevin ended up getting stuck over in Africa during COVID because we couldn't even get flights home. We could not even get a military flight home. So we ended up having soldiers overseas stuck because of this COVID.
Right.
So now we're like, now the government doesn't give a shit about me either, because they're putting this COVID thing out there, and now they're just leaving me out there. So now I'm getting scammed twice. And then it just kind of opened my eyes up that the government isn't what I was raised to believe it was,
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, well, you grow up watching, like, I always mention Law and Order, because I used to love Law and Order.
Yeah, Chicago PD.
Yeah, New York. It's in New York. Law and Order's in New York.
Well, I'm saying
Chicago PD. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But I'm saying, I would watch these shows, and I just thought, like, they were concerned about your doing the right thing, but also concerned about doing it the right way, and concerned about, you can't do that because it would violate his rights. You can't do this and then of course you go through the system and you realize, oh, that's a TV program.
Yep, they got me.
That's not what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, there's so many things that are just, and it's so funny too, because there's a guy, Chris Marrero, that I was locked up with. I've actually had him on this program. He does the whole sovereign citizen. He thinks like, he's not like a U.S. citizen. He thinks that they don't have just insanity. But what's funny about him is he used to talk about aliens all the time, right? Like aliens and this and that. And he read all these books, and I would be like, you're crazy, bro. I'm like, why would aliens even be interested in us? Why would they come here? Why we offer nothing. There's no and I would go through. I'd say, you seriously believe that? He's like, oh yeah, they're here. I was like, really? And with all the camera footage and everything, there's no videos, there's no photos, there's no. I'm like, come on, bro, that's insane. And then of course the Navy comes out with all the video, of these extra or these.
You talking about the Antarctica? Down in Antarctica?
No, I'm talking about the Navy came out where they have the they have the UFOs on where they're zipping in here, and you can hear the Navy guys like, "What is it? I have no idea. Like, what are you seeing this? Yeah, no, I got them on my radar, and they're showing them.
Yeah,
and so then when they release it, of course, I have to call up Chris, and I'm like,
dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, bro, like, there's UFOs. I told you. I'm like,
best feelings ever for him too.
And, another thing was funny is like, and there's all of these things. It's like, they want. There's all these things like they want to release, they want Trump's taxes, and then finally they force him to give them his taxes. They go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and everything he's done is legal. Damn it! And then you turn around and they say, okay, well then we want Joe Biden's taxes, and Biden says, no, I'm not giving them to you. But you wanted Trump's taxes.
Yeah, just like this classified document.
Same thing with it. It's like what happens is it's almost like what you're doing, you blame the other person for, and you force them because you think, well, if I'm doing it, they have to be doing it.
Yeah,
and then
then they get caught,
right, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
but then you get what you want, and it's not what you thought, And then they turn it on you and they go, whoa, this is insane. You can't do that. Wait a minute.
Yep.
There's just all these things.
If I'm right, though, I think, didn't they just get the okay to raid or go into Joe Biden's house too?
Yeah, I think and I haven't seen this. I just heard Bozak tell me that they actually raided, the FBI went in and found more documents.
Yeah, more.
And of course, there's a thing on TikTok where there's a phone conversation between Biden and his son, where he's talking about, look, they're not going to drop the document thing. Contact. He says, "Have you seen this? It's fake. It's got to be fake. There's no way it's not fake because it's like, how would you have gotten this?" And it's so funny because it's perfectly him. But I mean, it sounds just like, and he's calling his son, and he says, They've just found some more documents. They're not going to drop this. I can't seem to get it squashed. And so I need you to get the red phone, and I need you to call Barack and not Hillary, Barack and Michelle. Call Barack and Michelle and tell them that something like, Operation Fireball or something like that. Something silly. He's like, "I love you, buddy." And he hangs up the phone. And I mean, it's got to be fake.
Jimmy Dore does a lot of those.
So hilarious, though, when you listen to it.
Yeah, he's got his own show. He's blowing up now in Chicago, Jimmy Dore. And he's got a couple. It's just like on the phone with Biden. And he's just talking like straight to Biden as Jimmy Dore. It's like, these damn Democrats coming at me.
But people get crazy over it. They get nuts. Oh, I wish I could had it. I wish I could find. I was going to say, did I send this to anybody? Did I send it to who would I have sent it to? Oh, I got my buddy. Listen, it can't be. This can't be true. Like, it's so over the top damning. And what's so funny is that you hear so many damning things, and you're like, it's kind of like Nancy Pelosi's husband buying all these stocks.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, how is this not a federal crime?
Yeah, how do we not lock these people up like now?
Locked up? And this is like, it's like all these people that talk about Trump, right? Well, he's a racist. Well, what racist things did he say? They can never come up with anything.
Nothing.
It's like, oh, well, he is. Well, why? Okay. Well, what racist policies did he make? Well, and it immediately becomes a fuck you, and they walk away. It's like, so what happens is you're repeating things that you've heard people say. You want to believe it. There's no policies. He hasn't said anything. You just want him to be a racist so that you feel right about the fact that you don't like him, and you don't like him because you think he's a racist when actually there's no racism.
Yeah, it's the Trump derangements. It's the craziest thing. Right. I've never seen it before.
But and the worst thing about him is, by the way, about Trump. So like his policies, like I totally agree with this guy's policies. Like I agree with like do I think he was a great president? I don't. A lot. There's like my girlfriend loves him. She loves him, and I'm like, he's obnoxious. He's a douchebag. Yeah. He's a narcissist. He's this. He's that. He says horrible things. She's like, well, yeah, he may not be polished. And I'm like, look, I don't have a problem.
He's the president. He should be polished.
Should be kind of polished, right? Like
I was having the same conversation with my girlfriend's mother. Actually, this was a good one because we were talking about Joe Biden's son, and I said, I think someone with a son like that shouldn't be in a presidential position. She's like, what do you mean? His son doesn't have anything to do with it. I think your ability to raise a son to not become a crackhead like this strongly shows who you are.
Right. Well, here's
someone
the problem.
Held to the standard of a president, I would think it's a higher standard.
Well, so here's my problem with that is that I disagree only because I believe that we are more nature than we are nurture. Like you can get a bad egg. That people think, oh, it's 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's like 80-20. Like sometimes you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that statement. But here's what I do. What does bother me. You're protecting your son. You have my son's a crackhead, and he's selling crack, and he's showing crack, and he's doing this, and he's doing things illegal. FBI, go after him. Send him to fucking jail. I'm sorry. Yeah. I love you. I will come visit you. I will put money on your books, but you cannot behave this way. I'm not going to allow you to behave this way. And
when I'm the president.
Exactly. and embarrass me and stand against everything I stand for, you're slapping in the face. So I get that. I mean, that's how I feel. So we look at the same thing, but just from two different views.
Yeah,
But-
I see what you're saying, though.
So, but here's what's funny. So this is so funny. It
phone
can't
call?
be true. Listen, this is gonna crack me up.
He's been known to cure insecurity just with his laugh. His organ donation card lists his charisma. His smile is so contagious. Vaccines have been created for it. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crime, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
Hey, pal, it's Dad. Look, I don't think they're gonna get off my ass about these documents. I know that there's at least, I want to say 5 more places that I can remember that they are. Listen, use the red cell phone. Call up Barack and Michelle. Tell them Operation Crash and Burn is a go. Do this immediately, please. All right, I love you, pal. Bye.
I mean,
It's golden, man.
but honestly, honestly, and even look at the thumbnail. Like it's pretty good. Like it's a great little video. It's a great little video.
You could trick people for sure.
It's good. Like I can't. Here's
Have
what's
you
even
seen
funnier
the,
is what if it's true? Like what if actually
Yeah,
this
now we
stuff-
don't know.
Like I don't think it's true because it's just so overwhelmingly damning.
But Joe Biden's
What if-
past
right,
actions
but
are
what
kind
if
of
it is?
overwhelmingly
Right,
damning
but what
too.
if it is? Like what if suddenly and this is
It
the
could
kind of
be.
thing I think, come on.
Like the documents are already in a Corvette, so
Right.
he's already doing crazy shit every day.
I was
Anyways.
gonna say, and right, and I'm like rolling my eyes. 6 months later, you find out he's been indicted
Yeah.
for this phone call. You're like, oh my god, that was true.
It's been happening ever since he got in office
Like
too.
things are getting in.
It's
nuts.
insane. It's insane, and it's like every single day there's a new thing out there that has happened.
You know what's fun? It's like the assassination of JFK. They could never get away with that now.
No
like,
way.
There would be so many leaks and cameras, and
Yep.
you just can't do that. So what they do now is they assassinate you in another way.
On the internet.
Right, on the internet, they cancel culture you. They find out they keep dirt on you.
I want to go back to the old days. I would much rather the mob days. 100%. It's just way better.
that-
You
you know
fuck up, you do something wrong, you get shot. Everyone stay in line.
I was gonna say what was it? Beck Lover. You know, right? Yeah, Beck. Yeah, he was asking me, and I never answered this. He said, "Would you prefer it now, or would you prefer to have gone back before the internet?" And I never got to answer because he'd start talking, he'd ask you another question, and then he'd say something else, and he'd be like, "You asked me 3 questions in the last 10 minutes, and I haven't been able to answer
I
any of
can't
them."
say anything, man.
Right. So I never was able to answer that, but I thought it was a good question.
It's really good. It only sucks because we're early to the internet still. Like if you think history wise, well, the internet came out, let's just say
90
for sure about
93,
like
92, 93?
Yeah, we'll call it 30 years. So
Yeah.
it's been alive for about 30 years. That's early history wise. So we're still at the beginning of it.
Right.
And we have
Infancy.
not yet figured out how to deal with it. How to deal with social media is the number one thing. No one's figured out how to communicate well on the internet.
Well, what about
We-
that chat?
Man, Chat GPT is
GPT.
changing the world. Yeah.
Have you like Boziak
Yeah.
came over to me and Boziak goes, "Look at this." He
That-
put it down. And he's like, "Watch."
It's the craziest shit in the world. I've been using it. We just for realtors, that realtor website I set up.
Right.
I set up a couple different things for like people to get free information, like 10
Yeah.
things to do when selling your house, 27 mistakes buyers make, shit like
It's
that.
just fucking, yeah.
ChatGPT, what are the 27 mistakes a buyer would make? 30 seconds. This 1, 2, 3. It's insane. And
It is like we were asking it. We were like, "Hey, can you write me a story about?" Write me a love story. It was a warm summer day when Jane walked across the park. It immediately
Yeah.
just, and you were
Jordan-
like,
You know Jordan Peterson? Do you watch it? Yeah,
of course, I
He
love
said he had it write a 13th rule for his book, but he incorporated like the philosophy of Russia during 1960 and the philosophy of China during 1940 or something like that, and it came out with a whole essay for him. And he was saying how it was just so scary because
Yeah.
he felt like he wrote it.
Yeah.
He's like, I could have written this. Like,
Yeah.
this could have actually been me. It's insane. And that's early. Like that is like the beginning of the internet all over again, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah,
we're just living in it now.
You know, they're saying it'll change. Like this is going to change everything.
Yeah,
this
but we're living it now.
But what's so funny too is like when I'm driving in the car with Jess, we'll be talking and she'll go, "Yeah, I wonder what that is or what something is." Let's say some question.
You don't need Google anymore.
Well, no, not that. I usually do. I'm like, well, and she's like, "Yeah, I wonder." I'm like, "Well, look it up. You got your phone with you. Like, let's find out. Like, what are you doing?" Like when I was growing up, you just had to wonder.
Yeah.
You just had to, like, I'm just curious. You had to hope that at some point you got back home and somebody you knew in the neighborhood had a Britannica that you could go and you could look it up. And even then, an hour and a half after looking and reading, you might be lucky to find the answer.
Well, and so this is why I would argue for before the internet. Have you been to Vallarta's down the road? It's a Mexican restaurant, Vallarta's. Oh, it's amazing. It's right next to the entrance over there on 75. But
On
yeah,
what,
we went
on
over
Bruce B. Downs or on some.
Bruce B. Downs to 54. Is it the 75 entrance down there?
Well, we're actually on 56. It turns into 54. 54 goes down to 75.
Yeah, no. If you turn right on Bruce B. Downs, take that all the way, you'll run into that
Restaurant.
70,
Okay.
Yeah. So we ended up just going there, and I didn't know what chorizo was or like El Pastor. I just didn't know. I was like, I asked my girlfriend, "Do you know?" She's like, "Oh, let's just look it up." I'm like, the guy's right here.
Right.
Why don't I ask the dude serving the food to me?
Right.
He'll probably be able to tell me better than Google. So that's why
He'll probably bring me some, and I can taste it.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
have to have Google describe it to me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would argue for. The reason I would argue to live in it now is because it's just so revolutionary. It's never been seen before, something like this. It's just, and the limit, it's limitless.
Yeah.
It just seems like the sky is the limit, and the new kids coming up are becoming smarter. Like the average IQ statistically is rising in America because of this. Like
Testosterone's dropping.
yeah, that's a problem.
So
we could just jump on testosterone.
Did you ever see? Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
No.
You have to watch that movie.
Have you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Of course. I've read the fucking book
I
5
told
times.
my dad about you, and he said, "Have you ever seen it?" And I was like, "No." What are you talking about? He said, "You should go watch that."
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, and I watched it. My girlfriend's like, "Is this about Matthew?"
No, stop.
And I
Takes place in the 1960s and 70s. Thank you. I'm not that old. So,
I said, "No, this isn't him, but pretty good, right?"
God, you know what I was going to say? You know what's funny? When I got out of prison, and I'd seen it a little bit on TV shows, but on TV they don't really show you how bad it is. Like on TV,
What's that, in prison?
No, so if you're in prison, you're watching TV. You see iPhones every once in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, you'll see somebody use it here, use it there, but it's not a main part of the show. It's not. You don't realize watching TV how overwhelming the impact is and how much people are on them. Like you might see, they'll have, let's say they show 50 people in a crowd walking. 2 people might be going and looking up and going and walking. Then you get out. Then I got out of prison and I went into like a crowd, right? So now I'm in a crowd, and I mean 50 people in a crowd, and 45 of them are walking around like this. Or this is the other thing this was me prior to going to prison, and you don't really see it on TV, is I would be walking and someone would be look over at me and they're talking to me. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, what? And that walks right by, and I realize they got an
AirPod in.
They're just on the phone. But they look at
in
you.
the gym. That messes with me all the time. Someone's
They look like, yeah. So it's, to me, I was like, it's like everybody's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
They're walking around like they're just walking around. What are you telling me? Don't you tell me? I told you.
And you're just walking by him.
I'm like, he's crazy.
He's like eating a McDonald's burger.
Right.
What the fuck's going on?
Insane.
Are you talking to
These
me?
people are nuts. Or you're in the restaurant and there's 20 tables and people are right in front of each other, and they're like, you went to dinner together.
You're spending. To me, it's like I'm spending like $50 on this
I
dinner.
can
at
do
least.
this at home.
Yeah, I'm spending at least $50 on this. I'm gonna enjoy it with no phone.
You know, I went to. This always cracked me up. This is very, very, very 1980s, 1990s. Went to the movies one time with my brother, and we went in and we sat down, and he sat one seat over. And he goes, and I went, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, that's a fag seat." And I looked at him and I went, the fuck out of here. I said, I said, if I didn't want to sit next to you, I would have come alone, motherfucker. and I go, sit down. Ed, what are you doing? And he goes,
how's your problem?
Fuck. He got up and sat down. He's like, yeah, you know. I was like, I don't give a shit. Want people to think we're together. We are together. We're brothers.
We came here together. We've been together our whole life.
Yeah, I don't care what these people think. Fuckers.
Oh, man.
But I mean, that's just how that's very 1980s, 1990s.
Yeah.
That's the fag scene.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there. You crazy?
Look at Connor's just like, oh, listen.
I'm not sitting there.
Like when I was growing up, like if somebody called somebody, gay or a fag or something, they would say like it was.
You're not calling me that.
We're fighting.
Yeah.
We're fighting.
Yeah.
Now it's just, Matt, you got a better chance of fighting if you call someone a Republican
or Trump supporter.
or a Trump supporter than you do if you call somebody gay.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm not gay. Oh, okay. Trump supporter, motherfucker, I'll kick your ass. Hey.
Whoa, dude, chill.
Whoa.
Woo. Maybe like calm him down by telling him you're gay.
Yeah.
I am gay.
Hey, I'm gay.
I'm gay.
Okay, sorry. Let's make it about you.
Let's make it. I try to make it about you. You try to make it about me.
So what? So you did get out.
Yeah.
You got out.
I got out.
Microdosing. See, I'm bringing it back around.
Yeah. That's a good host right there. It's hard to do, man.
It's hard to do because
in
I
that
love
seat.
myself.
Yeah.
I love talking about myself, and I think everything I say is amazingly interesting. Even though I've managed to date a girl that continually tells me it's
Not that cool, dude.
You're not. I've heard this story. You can tell me again. That's fine. Do you mind if I text while you're telling me?
Oh, man.
And I'm like, wow, that's just cruel. She's like, yeah, I know. So anyway, go ahead and tell me your story.
Do you tell her? Do you tell her the
Of course
story?
I do.
Hell yeah.
I'm an asshole.
Hell yeah. You're not an asshole.
So-
tell a story.
She's heard it. Sometimes she'll finish it. Sometimes I halfway through the story, I know I've told it to her at least once or twice, and she'll be like, and I'll go, have I told you this? She'll go,
I've always had it, like, it's always been confusing because my dad tells a lot of stories and you tell a lot of stories. How do you get, and you've lived a lot of stories. How do you end up coming back to the same stories? That story's that cool? You know what I'm saying? Like, you've lived so many stories, just one sticks out and you end up, or you just run into something and you tell the same story.
You know what's so funny is like going to prison, like I thought going to prison, like I thought I'm missing out on so much. Like being in prison, you feel like I'm missing out on life. I'm missing out.
Right.
But the truth is, I just had a different experience. Like
It's
everybody does.
Just a new phase of life.
Right. Nobody has the life that they wanted. You're not, even right now, you're not living the life that you thought you were living when you were a kid. This isn't the life you had mentally planned out. Even when you went in the military, and you were in the military, like you probably thought, well, I wasn't necessarily dreaming about this when I was a kid.
Oh, hell no.
Right.
Dreaming about cleaning up the floors, sweeping the floors in the rain.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be, doing something else. Even if it was in the military, it's like I thought it was going to be more. If you're a police officer, you have a different experience than, even if you end up in that job career, it's never quite what you expect.
Right.
And so I just had a different set of experiences. And it wasn't until I got out that I really started realizing, and I kind of did in there, when I would hear people complain, what I realized right away, and I think this kind of goes to your show and your point, is also, it kind of feeds into the whole mental health thing, is that I realized right away that, and I built on it. And to be honest with my I have a cousin who's like a meth addict, right? Mm-hmm. To this day, I think he's still a meth addict, but, and just super smart guy. And one of the things he told me when I first got to prison, and I had 26 years, and to go, like I got like 23 years to go.
Yeah, like you showed up.
Right. Yeah. And like I'm doing at least another 22, 23 years. And one of the things he had told me within a week was, I was like, man, I just don't know that I can do this. And he was like, well, he said, do everybody else a favor. Don't complain. He goes, nobody wants to hear you complain. He goes, there's a lot of guys that will spend the whole 20 years complaining. He goes, and I can tell you right now, it's never going to make you feel better. It's never going to make anybody else want to be around you. It's never going to build up any friendships. It's never going to help the situation. Right. Like he's like, and mentally for you, it's going to do extreme damage by complaining.
Right.
This is a situation. You deal with it. You figure out how to get through it. You enjoy your time. And I was just like, initially I was like, yeah, okay. But a lot of people say stuff to me, and I initially I push back, or I'm like, yeah, all right. But then it kind of sinks in, and it slowly sank in. And then as you go, you start being around other people, and you realize, like, every time I'm around you, you're complaining. Like, this guy's, and then you start to dislike them.
You just got to hear about their bullshit.
Yeah, it's the and it, they say negative energy, negative, and you start to realize like how negative it is, and then you find yourself complaining, and then you realize, damn it, now I'm complaining, and he probably doesn't want to hear me complain.
Right.
So now I'm that guy that I don't even want to be around. I see him and his buddy come over who do nothing but complain, and like there was these two guys, we called them the Brothers Grimm. And they were fucking horrible. Like if you got stuck behind them in line, it was like it was just like, oh my God, they do nothing but complain the whole time. And so yeah, I started realizing, don't complain. Figure out how to pass your time. Do it the best you can. Be polite. Be nice. Don't be a fool. But read, keep yourself entertained.
Right. And then you end up in a position like yours where people are coming to you to write a story.
Exactly. And that's what happened. It slowly built.
Right.
And then, of course, people were telling me, you should write your story. You should write your story.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I didn't for years. For years, I didn't. Well, I don't know. I don't have the stuff. Well, order it. Well, how am I going to order it? I'm in prison. I don't have the internet. So do the Freedom of Information Act. Well, that'll take months. Do you not have months?
Yeah, you're in here how many years?
All my excuses just make me look like an idiot.
Right.
You have the months. Well, I don't know how to really write. I mean, I'm not very good at. Well, read a book.
Start writing.
I got to order a book. I got to read the book. Do you not have the time? I'm sorry. Are you going somewhere?
Yeah. Like, you got to catch dinner.
Pretty
soon?
sure part of your attitude is that you're going to be here 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll take forever. You have forever.
Right.
And so, then once I started, I was like, God, I'm a slow writer. I write slow. Well, are you in a rush?
Yeah. Where are you going?
Like,
man?
and you slowly start to figure out that as stupid as this sounds, and you've heard this 1,000 times, it really is the journey and not the destination.
And it's those little lessons that I learned when I was a kid, but I didn't
Dude, they don't mean anything when you're a kid. You got to really.
I want to be a father soon, hopefully.
Right.
I don't know how to teach my kid that. Like, my father he's been a teacher, a science teacher all growing up. So I was looking at him, asking him questions, everything. And he was able to teach me a lot. I had one of the best teachers. And for some reason, that still didn't just stick in my head.
Yeah, listen.
Listen,
most of the wisdom I have is the same wisdom that my father told me that didn't sink in.
Yeah.
And so when I go and I turn around and I tell, Jess's daughter the same things that I was told, and I look at her and I think, wow, I just really, really put some wisdom on her. Yeah. She's like, whatever, old man. You don't know anything.
Law enforcement often questions him, not because he's suspected of a crime, but because they find him fascinating. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crime, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
I was on the computer all growing up. I get computers. I understand them. I can type well. I can do everything on a computer. I just understand it. My dad told me when I was like 14 years old, learn how to make money on it. Learn how to make money on it. If I would have just listened to my father, I would be a millionaire by now. No doubt. I would actually be a millionaire. Just one of those things. Learn to make money. I got a job at McDonald's. What I got to learn to make money for? Flipping, I'm in the back and taking cash, taking orders.
You know what's so funny is that like Jess's daughter, where before she's like, hey, can you get me this? Can you get me that? Can you give me this? And now she's making her own money, and she'll say, yeah, I need this. And Jess will go, well, you should buy that. She's like, oh, are you serious? That's $60.
You want me to use my own money?
Like now she understands. Yeah. She's like, I'm not buying that.
And then you start breaking it. I'm like, man, that's 8 hours with plus tax.
It's funny how you when it's you suffering for the money, very quick. Like now she does it. She never asks for anything. And it's really because now she's starting to get that respect.
Finally understand.
Yeah, now she's like, God, I really don't want. I want that. I don't want to spend. I don't want to ask my mom to buy it. That's a lot of money. Like $60 before was nothing to her, but now that she knows what it takes to earn $60, she's less likely to ask you to get it for her, which is great. But some people you got to go through that.
Yeah, I mean, my parents all growing up, they both worked 2 to 3 jobs.
Oh, man.
Both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was pizza delivery, umpire on the weekends, and school teacher. So
Right.
school.
Oh, that sucks.
So it's
Yeah.
school every day, and then delivery on nights, and then on the weekends, umpire.
Yeah.
And then my mom's serving at 2 different places, and then overnight at Home Depot.
Yeah. My father basically, it's funny. He made great money. But I also realized that he worked 60 to 70 hours a
Yeah,
week.
right. And I'm like, Mom, I want to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Can I go to the movies? And she needs this $20 to pay for my hockey that I'm playing. And
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and you don't understand as a kid.
Yeah. I had
But
no idea.
what's funny is like there's all these little tiny things that people, even when I got locked up, that people told me that I just remember thinking. It was the same thing. It was like when I was like, man, I don't think I can do this. I remember this one guy told me, I've said this a bunch of times. He's like, well, that's a great thing about this. You don't have to do it. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, they're going to make you do it.
Ooh.
He said, so you don't, he said, it's effortless on your part. He goes, what you need to focus on is how to keep yourself entertained while they make you.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, that's a horrible thing to say. But no, he didn't say it well.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I realized like, no, you're right. He was right.
Just like, so I never went to therapy before in my life. And finally, after all my stuff in the Army,
Right.
the Army gives you free therapy. And my first therapy session ever, I explained to him my life. I just got divorced. This is before I was getting medically discharged, so that wasn't part of it yet. I was just sad because of the divorce.
Right.
And he goes, you're just going to have to think about it more. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? It's the last thing I want to think about. Like, this is the last thing on earth I'd like to think about right now. He's like, you're just going to have to think about it more often. It's like, dude, I'm already thinking about it every day. Like every day, at least twice. What do you mean think about it more? And then it wasn't until like 6 months later, and I was like, yeah, no, he was right. If I don't think about everything that really happened and what went down, shit's going to just happen again.
Well, so you said you watched Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, I love Jordan Peterson.
One of the things he says, and I'm pretty sure he got it from, I watched one where he said Dostoevsky or Dostoevsky. Yeah,
I just finished Notes from Underground by him.
Really? Because
Yeah.
he said, and when he always quotes him, and I believe this is one of his things where he was like, everyone is responsible for everything that happens in their life and everything that happens in everybody else's life. Is that part of it?
That's if it's the same book, that's kind of what the book premise was too.
Oh, okay.
So like it's around 1800s. It's the same thing. It's the craziest thing. I'm reading through this whole book, and this dude is going through the same thing I'm going through. Like, why is this all happening to me? Why did this girl do this to me?
Right.
And he's going through society just a little bit too smart. So like, you're not dumb enough to follow the herd.
Right.
But you're not smart enough to build an own business or something like
Right.
that. He's like a midwit, like just barely too smart, and he just has to deal with that. And it's just a whole book about his mental health, and it's told from like Dostoevsky's journal. It's a fiction book, but it's about him. Yeah.
Bro, that would be like to me. I mean, you started a podcast when you got out, right? Like
Right.
to me, like if you broke that book up, is it in chapters?
Yeah, it's in parts.
So if you broke up the parts and then summarized them and then did a 30-minute video, like
Dude,
to me, that's like an evergreen.
I'm so
video.
scared. It's so scary because Lex Friedman just did it.
Oh, did he?
The same book, yeah. Lex Friedman broke it down. That's. I mean, I would like to start doing that, even for my own health. That was one of the things with the podcast is I don't want to start a podcast. How many other mental health podcasts are out there? Why do I start one? And then 6 months later, I'm looking back and I'm like, this is one of the greatest things ever. Like I could go back, look at all my conversations, my kids when they grow up.
I was just going to say, not just that, it gives you a purpose.
Right. And that was our first episode, man. Just figure out what my next purpose in life is, because I just got out the Army, just got divorced, got nothing going on. I moved back home with my parents. My parents aren't too fond of weed.
Right.
So when I was smoking, they didn't like that. I ended up having to move out. And I was sleeping right on there's a hotel down there by that 75 exit.
Okay.
That I was sleeping in for about a couple days, and then in my car, and then over to my girlfriend's house. And then ended up, right next to LA, just because I could walk in and get an apartment. They were just the first people that would just hand me the keys. So, but yeah, just, I forgot where I was going with that, but
Well, I mean, we were talking about Lex Friedman.
Yeah, and starting the podcast. Yeah. So just getting out, and then at 23, I didn't realize that you have to get out of your parents' house. If you're still 22, 23, I would strongly urge you to get out of your parents' house. Go start living your life now.
I say that all the time. I'm like, there are these kids that are out there that are 23 years old, 24 years old, and they don't even have driver's licenses.
Yeah. My best friend in the Army showed up at 25 in the Army with no license.
Who the fuck does
into
that?
the Army? Like, how do you even get in the Army? Don't you need an ID?
If you're living in New York City and you take public transportation everywhere, and you don't have a vehicle, and your family doesn't have a vehicle, like, I get that. Okay.
He's in California.
Yeah. No. There's no. And even if you say, well, I don't have a car, it doesn't matter. Like, there are certain there are certain thresholds or that you have to kind of hit in life.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to get
unless you don't want to drive.
You graduate high school. You have to get a job. Right. Maybe some people say you got to graduate college. You don't have to, but maybe. Or you have to start working on something to build a career. There's you got to get a driver's license. Like, that's one of the things. It's like not having ID at all.
That was like me turning an adult. When I was turning 16, I got my job the same day and I got my license the same day.
Right.
No kids are doing that anymore. Like, that was me. I was 15. I'm like, yes, like, tomorrow I'm about to be like an adult. This is about to be my life. This is awesome. Now I'm thinking about, like, I'd just rather go back to high school, but
look, we were watching TV last night, and this kid is yelling at her mother. They're yelling back, like, she's like 9 years old, and she's back talking to her, and the mom's trying to explain and trying to this or that. And to me, it was like, listen, I might get one of the back talking.
Yeah, just 1 point.
Two, by the second one, she's already got the stick. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now it's like, if I got in two, it was only as she was swinging the belt. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no. Yeah. Listen, it was so bad.
I don't even remember really
talking back.
Yeah, like,
I can remember a few times where it was like, whoop.
Oh man, there was one time I was like,
Bow!
Yeah, I was like 12 years old. We were heading to hockey practice in the middle of Chicago. It was blizzard out. And I was sitting next to my sister, and we had a 15-passenger van. So I could have sat anywhere in the van. I sat right next to my sister. It's cold out. For some reason, I thought I was a funny little kid. And I was doing this to scratch my nose, and I was elbowing her. And she said, Mom, he's elbowing me. She said, Trev, you do that again, I'm kicking you out of the car, you're walking home. And I did it again. And I was walking home at 11 years old down one of the busiest streets in Chicago during a blizzard because I was an asshole to my mother.
My mom would pull her shoe off in the store and spank you in the store. And people back then, they glance and they grin and keep walking.
Yeah.
Now you pull your shoe off in the store, in a grocery store or something, and hit your kid. The cops are waiting for you by the time you walk out the door.
Cops and child services.
Child service, yeah.
Yeah, child protection, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, listen, my ex-wife, she's like, oh, I don't care. I'll smack the hell. She's like, I don't care where we are. Like, call them.
Get them on the phone now. I like them.
Yeah, take them. Will you be begging to come back in 2 weeks? They're like, ah! So
fine, call.
Yeah, it's just, but I was back to thinking just like how things don't. Like, well, say his name again.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never be able to say that, bro.
Russian,
I was raised in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think I could name.
No, I'm lucky
states.
because I actually, my dad just sent me my great grandfather's World War I draft card.
Oh, really? Like, that's pretty cool, bro. Oh, you're walking around. You gotta. Oh, I thought you were walking around with it. Like,
oh yeah, just in my pocket.
No, you gotta frame that shit.
No, he sent me a copy of that.
And you gotta frame it in with a.
Look at this.
Oh yeah.
Kingdom of Poland.
Kingdom of
Poland.
Listen, my grandfather landed on Ellis Island for when he came from Norway, and you've got the certificate where he came in and it's Ellis Island, the whole thing.
It's insane. Even like a draft. This is so funny to me because this is like a draft show up and like what's on here. It's let's see. You got his name, his address of where he moved, his birth, and where he's from, pretty much. Oh, and he's married. And he's got a child. They needed my full medical records from every hospital I've been to.
If it's that looks like a draft card.
Yeah,
Mike.
that's what I'm saying though.
I feel like a draft card. They require a lot less. You're like, yeah, bro, I don't have my birth certificate. I don't care.
Exactly. I needed this.
Yeah.
They said, here you go, get on.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing to me.
But
They might end up coming back, man, in them drafts.
But what I thought was interesting was with the Jordan Peterson thing was that the whole thing that you're responsible that like to me, when I first got arrested, it was that, well, if this person hadn't done this and they hadn't this,
right.
and then it took a few years before I started going, no, that
Right.
wasn't that person's fault. That was my fault. First of all, I'm smarter than that person.
Yeah.
I knew. I remember thinking, is he going to be capable of doing this? And I knew he wasn't, but I thought, well, probably. And then, so I started putting it together and realizing that it was all of my decisions that led me here. Like I knew better. And you may have messed up, but I put you in control of that situation.
Yeah.
Or I said this and I did that and I did. It was always me. The common denominator in all these things that went wrong and bad decisions that led me on this path was me.
Yeah, it's not coincidentally everyone around you.
Right. It's not like a series of bad events happened and I ended up committing fraud for nearly 10 years.
Yeah. Oops.
If you guys would stop making mistakes, no. Yeah, I'd be president. No.
Yeah, I don't think so, man.
It's you. So, but yeah, and it's so funny because when I was locked up in prison, had that time, once I realized that it was me, my decision, my fault, and I was the reason that I was there, I immediately felt better.
Yeah.
All the depression went away. All the anger, depression.
Well, now you're switching to like let's figure out what happened. Because now there's no fault. You're not blaming.
I started writing that book. I started writing my book.
Yeah, there you go. And now you're trying to figure out, okay, because that's what I did. It's like it's not her fault she cheated on me.
Yeah, like what was I thinking?
Just life.
I'm gonna be gone 9 months, and I'm gonna expect a hot 22-year-old that's out dancing with her friends. Or am I expecting her to stay home?
Yeah, exactly. There's two ways. Exactly.
Yeah, there's only which of those ones works out?
And
either.
Yeah.
Not for a
That's
lifetime.
all the military, man. That's every marriage in the military, man. It's brutal. The ones that make it, they need to be applauded somewhere. Because the ones that make it through the 20 years and have kids and are still living off that dude's pension, that's unbelievable to me. I don't know how they made it. I just can't even picture.
They're covering well. They've got a system.
Yeah. But yeah, you start trying to figure out, look, it's not like it was totally my fault. I could take control of everything. I could really control what my future is going to look like. And that was one of Jordan Peterson's thing. At the beginning of this year, I wrote down my perfect day. If I could have a day over and over and over again for the rest of my life, what would it look like and how would I feel at the end of the day?
Right.
So wake up, what do I do? Brush my teeth. Okay, how do I brush my teeth? Little minute things. So
is that what he says to do? He says every little...
all the mundane things. How do you brush your teeth? I brush my teeth this way, and I know that after about 10 seconds, I feel it, and I'm going to go over, and now I'm on autopilot while brushing my teeth. Now you got 2-3 more minutes, the rest of your life to think about something. That adds up when you're 24.
Right.
So it's just all those little things, doing the dish, everything, all these little mundane tasks. If you can perfect them, you're gonna have a lot more time to think for yourself and not have to worry. And that's a lot why I like psilocybin, is because when I'm doing those mundane tasks, it's on autopilot mode, and I feel good. I'm not thinking about the past or what I've done or anything that's happened overseas. So when I was overseas, man, I was like the gym was like that door. I'm sleeping here, and it's not like people like me lifting in there. It's like U.S. Special Forces, like the top
they're
dudes,
making growling and yelling and banging and
they're
shit.
picking up 400 pounds, slamming it down. So I'm waking up every night to a deadlift and just like, Jesus Christ. And then you move over to Afghanistan, and we're sending out missiles every night. So I'm waking up every night, Jesus Christ. So it's just psilocybin. You just Nothing's gonna happen. I'm home, safe. Just get it done.
Right.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson, though, making a perfect day. It's
So
helped me out.
you go through
It's
the
just
whole
the
so
whole
you write
list.
the
I got
whole list out.
30 minutes of piano. What do I want to do on piano? I want to learn this song, this song, this song. I want to do. I wrote down a couple books. So how long do I read? 8 to 9. I read. I meditate. I sleep. Go to the gym after, and then it switches every day. One of the things you don't want to make it too strict. You start feeling bad. So like right now, I got 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups for each day. Not doing too great with it. I'm not doing 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups each day. But I know if I'm doing 50 each day, or if I'm at least getting some done, I'm moving towards the 100 each day. So it's setting a sustainable goal that you could get to and achieve.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just small steps. Because before that, how many push-ups was I doing a day? Before that, how many books was I reading? Before that, how much meditation was getting done?
Yeah. I've heard him say the whole. Think about it. If you just read a few pages, even if it was just all the way down to just a couple pages a day, you'd be completing a book. You'd be completing a book every 2 weeks, or I think he says it'd be like a book every 2 weeks. He's like, think about it, that's 26 books a year.
Yeah.
And he was like, think, even if it was a month, took you a month, that's 12 books a year. How many are you reading now? People are like,
well, I tried reading one last week. Some shit like that.
Stop.
You're not reading nothing, man.
And I get, I would get tons of people who, they want to write, they want to write their story. And it's always they want to write always want me to write their story. It's like, well, why don't you write it? Well, okay, you know what? And then it's easy.
Yeah.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you write an outline? And I'll help you with it. So write the outline. They can't write an outline.
Oh, man.
You can't write a 4-page outline?
How are you going to write a book?
Like, stop, bro, stop. Well, not just, no, because they want me to do it.
Yeah, they can just,
So,
right.
So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because it's not going to happen. I can already tell what I'm dealing with. And then I always love this too. There's you write it, bro. I'll split it with you.
I'll split it with
me.
What, so you could get the credit that I wrote?
Right. I'm going to write the entire book. I was doing that when I was in
No,
prison.
I gave him the outline.
Yeah. They didn't even give me an outline. Nobody ever gives me anything. I'll give people assignments, send them off on their way, and they never do anything. Man. And then they're like, I just can't seem to get. I'm like, listen, stop. Write 1 paragraph a day.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
What was it? Jordan Peterson was saying he was writing. Yeah, he was doing a paragraph, and then when he finished his book, he was going paragraph by paragraph, then sentence by sentence, and he was just breaking down word to word for every book he was written. Make sure I want this paragraph to be written to where I could read it every time and be satisfied.
Right.
Something like that.
Well, what's funny too is I was talking to Jess, I'm writing her story.
Oh, that's cool.
And when I write, it is the exact opposite of how I talk. When I talk, I'll take an hour to explain something.
Yeah.
When I write a lot, and then I go through and I start saying, I don't need that word. I can combine these 2 sentences. It's about brevity. I want to get into a scene as late as possible, right? And then I want to get out of the scene as early as possible. So if a scene it could take 4 pages, but I can do it very succinctly in 1. I want to do it in 1 because 1, people don't read.
Yeah.
And 2, you have to give your writer or your reader you have to give him credit that he's going to understand that if you start talking about being at the dinner table with someone, I don't have to explain to you that, I called Trevor, asked him to meet me at Outback. We then decided to meet at Outback. We met, we received.
Right.
I don't have to do that.
This is
Let's start at the table.
I hope my girlfriend watches this because I've been getting on her because I love storytelling, and it started with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was transitioning into stories. So what do you want to do with your life now? So I just want to storytell.
Right.
I just want to tell stories. And I was like, man, that would be pretty cool. Just
Kobe Bryant, you mean the basketball player?
Yeah.
And
before he died, once he retired, he's like, I just want to tell. He has a child's podcast on Spotify or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just telling a story. So it's like a 15-minute thing while you're on your way to soccer practice or whatever. You could put it on for your kids, just telling a story. But there's a lot of, just like you said, there's a lot of, and then I said this, and then she said this, this, and then she said like this, and then she said this. And I was like, you got to stop doing that. You're going to jumble up your words. Well, you're going to be like, she said, I said, she said. And then at some point it's going to mess up, and then you're not going to be able to.
Well, what happens is, how can I condense this scene? I can throw in some dialogue. I love dialogue.
Yeah.
I love to throw in some dialogue, But if you start going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like that, well, a 2-minute conversation ends up being 8 pages, and it doesn't take 2 minutes to read it. It takes 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, can't we sum this up in a paragraph? You and I know we had a discussion about this, and then you said, and you end it with part of the sentence that,
Right.
and then I say something, and then we can summarize part of the conversation, throw in a couple of cute little sayings back and forth, and then end it, and it's 2 paragraphs as opposed to the 5 pages.
Yeah.
So that's hard. Like, to me, that's hard to do. But Jordan Peterson says the same thing. He's like, you want to know how to think and be successful, learn how to write.
Yep. That's why I started writing.
Yeah.
And it's just anything. Starting a Twitter, my own personal Twitter, so I could just go on and write. Just write anything. Just start writing.
Yeah.
Get something down.
Well, this is the same thing with the podcast. Is like, you know how many times people taught me, yeah, I want to start a podcast, but I like, because I made all the mistakes.
This and then this and
well,
then that.
well, and I already made all the mistakes in podcasting. Yeah. Like I messed up so bad when I did because within a few months I did Danny's podcast, Concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I did Soft White Underbelly. I did Valuetainment, and Vlad. We're talking about literally within 6 months I was on all of those, and they were all doing amazing, right?
Yeah.
So they're all getting like over 1 million views. And what I made the mistake of was Danny, the first night, like, for all of Danny's faults, you know what I'm saying? He has given me some great advice that I have not listened to. And it was like, so it's, and he absolutely, I just wish I'd listened. It's like he really has helped me, lead me in the right path. But you can lead a horse to water.
Yeah.
And the problem is that I was saying, no, I want to do a podcast like this, like that. He's like, yeah, I understand you want to do that. He goes, but you need to start a podcast now. He goes, because I'm pretty sure because this is right. This was literally that same night when we did the podcast, hadn't been posted. Mm-hmm. We went to Waffle House, I think.
Oh,
and we
nice.
ate. I know. We went. It's like it was like 12 o'clock at night. It's the only place that was open.
Hey,
so
the
we
only
went
place
there.
to go.
I'm eating eggs and bacon and stuff, and he's like, listen, bro, I've done a lot of podcasts. And I went, okay. He said, this is going to be big. He goes, I'm pretty sure. He goes, and I could be wrong. It may get no views, but I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. He goes, that story you just told is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. I was like, really? And he was like, and I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. He said, and he goes, it's not just the story, but you told it really well. Like, you tell it well. I'm like, well, I've been in prison telling the story for 10 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, he says that, and he goes, you need to start a podcast. And I went, yeah, I know, I want to, right? Like I told you, I want to start a true crime podcast. So I start telling him what I want to do. And he goes, yeah, I get it. You want 3 cameras. You want to set up. You want to have this whole thing. He's like, I'm like, yeah, exactly what you've got going on. And he's, yeah, I understand that, but it took me a long time to get there.
Right.
And he said, you need to start one now, though. And I went, well, yeah, but I don't even have the camera equipment. And he goes, you got a phone? I go, oh, bro, I don't want to do it on the phone.
That's the same thing we did.
And he looked at me. He goes,
why not?
He said, what are you talking about? He said, you've got an iPhone. He goes, that thing's got an amazing camera on it.
Yeah.
He said, go get one of those stands, turn it on.
It's like $10.
Yeah. He goes, turn on. He said, even if you have to just lean it up against a couple of books, he goes, talk to the camera, post it. And I went, what's that going to do? Like, nobody's going to watch that. He goes, well, it'll get you monetized. He said, because you're going to get a lot of people that are interested in you, and you'll get monetized. He said, so if you put up a video a week of you just talking, he goes, tell the same story. He said, you'll be monetized very quickly. He said, and you'll be able to start making money. He said, and it's not so much about the money, but being monetized helps the algorithm push you. Because why would the algorithm push your content if they're not making money on it? Right. He goes, so he was telling me all these things, and honestly, part of the problem, other than me just being stubborn and me wanting perfection, which even right now, this is not perfection. Because
I could tell you weren't pleased a little bit.
I'm still,
like there's something more in here I could do.
No, listen.
What else could I add?
Listen, if it was up to me, if I didn't have my girlfriend standing in my way, I would have painted so these walls here should be a dark burgundy, right? Like a dark burgundy.
Okay.
I probably would change all of these out to another type of, still would be artwork, right? I would love to have a bunch of con men. Like, I'm slowly making these little con men paintings. These are for my Patreon. So if you join my Patreon, every month you get a con man painting. Depends on this tier. So every month, I got like 8 of them now. Like I'm about to order 2 more. Yeah, so they're pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's bad. The Trump one's funny, especially when saying con man and you got a Trump one.
Yeah. So, but I'd like to have the whole wall kind of filled up with con man painting or things.
Like Dory. Dory's got the cool like pictures all over on Trendify.
Yeah.
Those are badass. Those pictures, I love those.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. You know what's so great about him is like I'll text him and say, hey, and send him something, and he'll come right back and he'll go, yeah, bro, you got to get rid of this.
Oh,
like,
man,
he's like, that's a good one. You know,
so I was just looking at podcasts. I don't know how I ran across his. I don't know the first episode I watched. Andrew's. I watched Bustamante.
Oh, yeah.
And I just DM'd Julian, said, hey, man, we just started a podcast about 2 weeks ago.
Julian's great.
Would you want to come on? And he said, yeah, no problem. Came on and we just talked. He had no clue who I was. I had no clue who he was. He just answered my DM.
Listen, I did that. So listen to this. So I'd say a year ago, there's a guy named Chip Williamson. We had him the other night. You're no help. Okay. Thank you. So Chip Williamson, he has a podcast called Crime and Entertainment.
Okay.
He DM'd me, right? And honestly, I almost never check my shit. Like I'll go weeks without returning people's. And there are some people that 2 years ago DM me a bunch of time, never responded.
That's why I was a little nervous at the gym when you were like, yeah, let's get something together. I was like, is this dude serious right now? Well, I can't tell.
Well, so Chip sent me something. He said, hey, man, I just started a podcast. It's not very big. It just started. I did in the middle of COVID. I've only had a few guests on. I would love it if you would come on. What can I do to get you on the podcast? And he was so like, you know, and
straight up.
Well, he was straight up, but I went and I looked at the podcast because I've had that happen where some guys got 3 videos up and all of them are dog shit and they're 6 months apart. And it's like, stop it, bro. You have a YouTube account.
Yeah. And you just post.
You don't have a podcast. You're not serious. If you're not serious, then no. But I looked at his and he had like whatever, 10, 12, 15. He was doing it. Like he had, at the very least for the 4 months or 6 months he'd been doing it, he was serious.
Yeah.
So I went, yeah, fine, we'll do it. We can do it. You know, I said, you know, what do you want to, I'm not going to fly in. I don't want to fly in unless you're going to pay me or something. He said, well, I don't really want to pay you. He said, I can't pay you. He said, but I can. We'll do a Zoom. Can we do a Zoom? Like if you just give me 30 minutes or an hour. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we did one. I think I talked for like an hour and change, right?
Yeah.
We did it. And so a month or so ago, he came, he said, hey, can you talk on the phone? I was like, yeah. I called him, or he called me. I said, what's up? And he said, look, I had barely anybody come on my show. He said, and you were the first big time podcaster. Like I wasn't a big time podcaster. Like every time somebody says that, I'm like, are you serious?
Big time.
Like that's ridiculous.
Showtime, baby.
But he was like, you were the first one to come on and you did it and you were cool about it and I appreciated it. And I told myself, man, if I ever am in a position to tell my story, I will go on. I'm going to give Matt the first chance to do it.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was that Chip and his wife, I'm going to give the short version because we just did the podcast. Chip and his wife had broken up. She started dating another guy. They then got back together. And he was like, okay, well, if we're going to make this work, right? Like we're going to be together, you got to get rid of this guy. Like you got to tell him we're together and you can't see him anymore. She's like, I will. So she tells him, guy's very upset. Actually drives around telling like his friends, where's Chip? I'm going to kill him. And so finally he calms down. One of his buddies, they're kind of friends, right? Like they kind of know one another. They're not friends, but they kind of know.
Just in a circle.
He's been in part of the circle. So one of his friends talks to him. He comes over. They start drinking. He says, look, calm down. He's like, yeah, you're right. He goes, I don't know. I just want to ask him some questions. So he tells Chip, do you want to come over? Chip goes, sure. He comes over. He says, what do you want to know? And he says, well, how long's it been going on? He goes, bro, honestly, we just talked a few times. We just made the decision. We weren't seeing each other. We weren't this. We weren't that. We just decided we got a kid together. We got, And he's like, okay. So the guy was like, okay. And then he was supposed to drive the guy home. And they go to Chip's house instead. They go to Chip's house to do something because he didn't want to go home or whatever the case may be. And while they're there, the guy attacks Chip. Like they get into a fucking fight. The guy attacks him. Chip's while they're fighting, and he's pushing him back and screaming. He's like, "Bro, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't stop. You're in like get out of my house." What do you? The guy keeps attacking him. He pulls his gun. He shoots him. He kills him. He shoots him 3 times. Guy hits the fucking ground.
Yep.
He gets charged with the murder, even though he's in his house. Even though he has a gun and told him to leave. Even though he attacked him. Even though he gets charged. Well, it goes for a while, right? Like the case drags on and on. Chip gets he ends up getting a lawyer. It drags on and on and on. And finally they drop the charges. Chip tells a story amazingly. He's a great storyteller. And so we just did that podcast like a week ago. Friday? Yeah. We did it Friday. So a couple days ago. So we did it Friday. And even though I thought, okay, well, you'll tell the story. That's fine. And he got here and told the story. And I was, listen, bro, I was like, I shit you not. I bet you I talked 5%.
Yeah.
And it was nothing but right. Which I try not to do because I sound like an idiot.
Yeah, I feel like I should be doing that, and I shouldn't be doing. I don't know when to do the right.
Well, there was no back and forth. Just because I was like, holy shit. And only every once in a while I'd be like, yeah, but I don't understand. They said this and this
no,
and this.
that's
And
what I
go,
was saying.
right.
The last girl we had, or last woman we had on our podcast, the Cambodian killing fields.
Yeah.
And for one, I had no idea that was even a thing in Cambodia. Seriously, I had no idea they had anything like that in Cambodia. I had it was never taught it or nothing.
Horrible.
And she's just talking the whole time. I'm like, I feel like I should say something. Like, do I ever have to say? Like, yeah. Do I butt in now? I don't want to interrupt her story. Should I say something? I don't know. I was just amazed. I didn't want to say anything.
But it's horrendous what happened. And actually there's there are documentaries you could watch, but there's actually a movie. I'll find the movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's not, but and literally the person they follow through the whole thing is it's an amazing story, and they follow this person, and eventually that person that they follow, this Cambodian, is taken out and comes to the United States to live in the United States at the end of the movie. And you're like, wow, like it's a great, like he survived everything and he got here to the United States and he's safe and thank God. Yeah. And he got a job working at a 7-Eleven and he got robbed and shot and killed in the United States. You survived all that. You got killed in like East Hollywood at your job by some crackhead. Like it was just like, I know it's
that
sad.
sucks, man.
I could see Connor's upset. So, but yeah, you watch the movie, you're just like, it's the most horrendous thing.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. You know, for one, I thought working 14-hour days in the military was tough. I was like, this just kind of sucks. I just don't want to do this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it was 16 hours in the rice fields. I'm like, what were you doing for 16 hours in the rice
Bent
fields?
over
Doing the same thing?
in the rice fields.
In your mind the whole time. Like, these have to be some of the mentally sane people in the world. Most. You're outside all day just thinking to yourself all day, just turning something, right? Just trying to figure something out. That's what I don't know.
No music.
I don't know.
No iPhone.
Nothing.
No Apple iPad.
The way she had to escape, they were getting liberated, and now the camp started picking up and moving deeper into the forest every 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so she was finally like, look, we've moved 3 times now. I don't think we'll even survive if we keep moving. So now she goes to her 3 friends and says, look, we got to get out of here. And they just walk. They just walked away. Miles on miles on miles trying to just find a city or something.
Right.
And eventually she finds someone and she's like, where's my hometown? And they just point. She walks that way. Where's my hometown? And they just point. And she walks that way until she eventually finds her home. Yep.
Then she meets one guy and he says, he knows it's that way, but he points that way.
Yeah.
Just because I like to mess with these people. And they keep wandering out of the rice fields. Yeah, I think.
That'd be my dad. Oh, yeah, it's right over here.
You know what's funny is you hear people complain about like the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I whenever I hear them complain, I always look at them, I always just think like, you have no
Have you been anywhere?
idea.
Have you been anywhere?
What life is like other places.
Yeah.
What, like, you have no like, you're concerned that you want me to refer to you as he, she, they, like you're a fucking idiot. And you have any idea that like that have any, if you were in the Ukraine right now and you said that, like your neighbor would be like, what? Oh hell no! Boom! Like you'd be like, this. What's
I was
going on
watching
with-
a video and the dude went to an African village. Just African village said, "Do you guys have transgender?" And they're like, "Wait,
Yeah. Oh.
do you have transgender?
Yes.
What's the word for it?" I don't know what you're talking. We don't have a word for that.
Yeah.
They don't even have a word for it.
No.
Like, a man who become a woman, and they just laughed at him. It just the whole tribe just starts. No, that's crazy. We would never do that here. Are you insane? It's unbelievable.
Is the president of Uganda or something that they were saying, he was saying that there was no homosexuals in Uganda.
Not allowed.
We do not have that there.
Yeah.
We killed them. We this, we that, and they're like, what?
Yeah, I can't believe they do that.
Stop, bro. Stop. Don't be. You're
can't
being
believe you
silly.
can do this.
You're just being silly. You're just making up reasons to complain.
Yeah.
Like-
And then, well, if you just listen to the podcast with this lady, and I told her at the end, I can't believe you're just smiling about it. Like, she was laughing with us the whole time. It made it so easy for me because I didn't have to be like, can I laugh?
Yeah.
You know, like she was so joyful and laughing. I'm like, how could you do this? And then at age 65, this old, still just be so joyful. And that was my grandma. My grandma was the same way. She gets called, you got stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She's just like, all right. And then goes back to smiling and, you know, like nothing happened. It's,
I guess we'll have to take care of this.
yeah, I guess there's got to be something I got to figure out, huh?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same shit, man. It's crazy how people, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh, I got cheated on. Like, I'm not the first one to get cheated on, dude. Go back to work. Like, go get shit done.
Yeah, it's you know, like life is so much harder in so many places, and not just that. Well, it was the same thing. Listen, man, Jordan Peterson. I'm talking about this guy left and
I
right.
love Jordan Peterson,
But
man. It would be my dream to talk to
he
him.
puts things in perspective,
And it's so, like, yeah, he just, because he thinks about it so long, man.
What, you know, one of the things was like, he was like, would you love to be, was it, who does he say? Is it like the Rockefellers? Like let's say the Rockefellers. Would you like to be, shoot, I can't even think. Whatever. Somebody who was filthy rich back in the 1910s, 1920s, like, you know, and, you know, JP Morgan or someone, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, most people would say, oh my God, I would love that. Like, go back in time and you can become as wealthy as him, and that's it. But you have to live in 1920.
Yeah, nope.
But most people are like, yeah, man, yeah. And it's like, no, bro.
I would never do that.
You could, if you got an abscessed tooth, you could die. If you got the cold, you could die. If you got cut, you could die. There's no penicillin. There's no, like, all of the things that you take for advantage. Like kids, they used to have, you know, they'd have 5 kids because 3 of them would die.
Yeah, no, that's even Hitler's family. Hitler's family, like all of his brothers and sisters died at like 3.
Yeah.
2, 3, 6 months.
Yeah,
everything.
this is just
it's
common.
just the
It's
fertility rate. That's just what it was back then.
It's just common. Like, that's it. There are all kinds of horrible things that were happening on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so all the money in the world doesn't mean anything. I mean, to me, if you've got like you have no idea the joy that people get out of this. They take it for granted. Like, and I think that part of it is that's the reason why you've got 22-year-old kids who don't have jobs, jobs. Why would they have a job? I can stay home and play on my iPhone.
Oh, man, I think I was just talking to my dad about this. Just because
They get
ever
the
since
same amount of
COVID,
joy.
just the service, ever since COVID, the service everywhere has
it's
just
dropped.
sucked. Just everywhere. Every restaurant, every Home Depot, everywhere. It just seems like it just went straight downhill. And
Yeah, I almost feel like there was better service before I went to prison. There was a Nashville. I had service everywhere. I get
Better
out now
service.
as I'm driving from my complex to Wesley Chapel area. Like, there's an area where it just stops.
Yeah.
The gym sucks.
Oh yeah, brutal.
How does the gym suck? There's
No,
a
no.
ton of stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're not on this plan. You're not on this plan. You would think they would fix that shit by now. By now, it should be fixed.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 40 years. I've been using these things since the 90s. 30 years. So,
Those things are brutal though. They're going around too much. Everyone has one. Which that's why I like the internet though, is everyone has a phone. So you can contact anyone. Being able to call this lady from Cambodia, or not from Cambodia, but we survived Cambodia.
Right.
Just lives down the road and I met her through the internet.
Oh,
if you can use the internet the right way, and I said this last year, that was literally my New Year's resolution. I talked to my dad. I said, I have every piece of information I could ever want right here. I just need to learn how to use this the proper way and I will be set up for success. Because these are going to be around forever.
Oh, listen, I was writing a story right now, and part of Jess's conspiracy is like they were bringing the part of the conspirators, they're bringing in meth, or the cartel's bringing in meth down, they're like 75, right? Part of the way they would get to Fort Myers, and then they break it apart, right? So one of my contacts, the guy I'm talking to about it, he's talking about how they would put it on airboats and go through the Everglades and Big Cypress.
Oh, like the fan boats?
Yeah, the big airboat. Yeah. So they put them on that. Why? Because 75 and Alligator Alley are heavily patrolled by like the highway patrol, right?
Yeah.
So, but if we go through the Everglades, even if we were to get caught, and it's very lightly patrolled. So even if somebody saw you, and most of the time you see a game warden, you see anybody, you're just going. They're like, hey, like he's not doing anything wrong. We don't have no reason to pull this guy over. He's just going. So, but even if you got pulled over, then you just punch it and you throw the stuff out, and it sinks immediately. Like you're good. I can go around this weed, throw it out. Well, what's he gonna do? He's done. I'm done. It's not mine. So, but so as I'm looking, I'm like, God, who patrols the Everglades? Do you know how long that would have taken me to figure out who patrols the Everglades?
Oh yeah, calling.
It's 5. There's 5 different. There's 3 different county sheriff's departments that cover it. And there's the Parks Department, and the DEA has a presence.
The Everglades?
Yes, it's broken up into like 5 or 6 different districts that they all kind of share. So, but very quickly, I found an article that talks about how insane it is that no one group is responsible for patrolling it. Each one has a section because it falls within certain counties. It runs through all these different counties.
Borders and all. Yeah.
So very quickly, I figured that out. The other thing is like Jess, as we're talking, and I'm like, okay, well, who is that? And she's like, she'll go, hold on. She'll look him up. She'll go, yeah. That guy was arrested on this date, on this. Look, there's an article. Look, that's him. Look, I told you, that's crazy.
That's what
right?
I did. I was like, I looked over. I walked in. I saw your girl at the gym. I saw your girlfriend. She looked jacked. She stood up, and now she's standing next to a dude with grown hair like this. I'm like, all right, hang on. No, I know this hair.
You know what he said? He said, I thought you'd be taller. That's what he said. You have any idea? Anyway.
So I thought you'd be taller. I didn't think you'd be as jacked. I said that at least.
Yeah.
So it kind of weighed it out.
No, it didn't.
No, damn it.
Because I heard that
I was
the whole
trying.
way. I'm driving home and Jess is snickering and I go, what? She goes, he said you thought you'd be taller.
That's why I'm here right now. I'm about to call my friend. If I don't make it out of here, guys, I just get Epstein in here.
But you were able to.
But yeah, I just looked you up, and the first thing was like your original mugshot. And I was like, no, that's not the guy I know. So then I just went to YouTube, pulled up Concrete.
I got the hair now.
Yeah, you got the, yeah.
I got the hair, and I got the noses fixed. Yeah.
You said the nose is? Is it?
No,
my nose is
fixed. My nose is different there. It was round. It was bulbous. It was much more round.
So when you went in there to get it fixed, did you tell them I need it this way, or you just like just change my appearance, please?
No. I just he went in and I said, my nose, like I wanted a little bit more. He goes, yeah, a little less bulbous. And I thought,
you just knew right away.
Damn, like you didn't have to throw bulbous. Like I didn't even know there was a word for it, but that upset me. Like I immediately thought, like Rudolph.
Whoa, dude!
Like Rudolph. Hey.
He's coming right at my nose like that.
So yeah, but he was like, yeah, you want it more straight, more. I was like, yes. He's like, okay.
Oh.
So he said, yeah, I gotcha. That was it. So
that's why I texted Julian and Danny right away on Twitter. I said I could spot your hair from a mile away. That's an easy one, man.
Look at. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's end it now.
Yeah.
You've got the channel. You do the channel with your buddy.
Yeah. So we got our channel. It's wherever you get podcasts. Mind over matter. And yeah, we're starting. That's what I was trying to tell you. It's a little slower. I got a couple episodes in the bank, but we're trying to build another business too, digital marketing business. So,
right.
So we're doing both at once, but yeah, just mind over matter and.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So you need, you got to get monetized.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. And you got 2 ways: organic, or you pay for it. Now you're just paying to get monetized, and then the other way is organic, and that takes a minute. And
honestly, I know. Like, listen, I know a guy that basically he pays to have all of his videos pushed.
Yeah.
He's paying for subscribers. He's
Yep.
paying for, and in the end, it first of all, there's a chance you could get banned. From YouTube, you just shut your shit down. So maybe that doesn't work. You lose your money and your channel. And the other problem is that ultimately you're not really building longevity.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. You're creating
exactly.
an illusion.
You just want to get the money now.
Right.
Yeah.
The best bet is for you to just go on, just like this. Like I said, what I said in the gym, just go on several podcasts very quickly. You'll get monetized. And you've already got the video. You've already got a bunch of videos that are up.
Yeah, exactly. That was another big thing is just getting a bank before we start going out to people and saying, look, we got to, just like you said, you don't want to have someone come up to you and say, hey, I got a podcast and I got like 3 episodes.
Yeah, you get 3 episodes over the course of 6 months.
Yeah,
It's
some shit like that.
You're not serious. Like I don't want to go and interview somebody and then 4 months later they stop posting.
Yeah. And that's another, me and Kevin were saying, my co-host, it's like when someone tells me they have a podcast, like, you like respect the dude more. Like,
Well,
I know what goes into doing a podcast. So if you're serious and you got a podcast, hands off to you and let's talk.
The other thing is like once you get monetized and you continue to put them up, like here's the thing. It's almost like going into real estate, right?
Yeah.
Like the average guy that goes into real estate, maybe he puts some money down, he buys a duplex. He collects the rent on the duplex. It's really a break-even kind of thing. So you're kind of like for all the money you might make over the next year, then somebody leaves. You have to clean up the whole place. You have to put it back on the market, and you lose that money, and then you're starting over. So there are some benefits to being able to for writing off the depreciation and certain things like that. But here's what it does is that it allows you to kind of put money aside and buy another duplex, and then slowly another duplex, and slowly another. You can't quit your job. You're not going to buy a duplex and quit your job, but you can buy one every few years. And then 10 years from now, it's paying all your bills. And 30 years from the first one you bought, the mortgage is paid off. So the little bit of money you were making on that one, boom.
Yeah. And this is what
YouTube is.
Yeah. All the higher ups in the military do that with their houses. So like the 20-year people, because the VA loan you get every 2 years, you get a new house. So that's what all they do. They get a new house and then they get stationed somewhere else, get a new house, rent that one. And now they've been spending 20 years in the military, got 6 houses all over and now they're getting pension, their houses. And
then suddenly then the mortgages get paid off.
Yep.
And then suddenly that you were making a profit of $200 a month. Suddenly it becomes $1,400 a month. And you're like,
just
whoa.
like that. Yep.
Right. But that's long-term.
Yeah.
It's work. But that, to me, that's YouTube. It's not
anything.
Making a ton of money, but every month it's making a little bit more.
Right.
And a little bit more and a little bit. And there's always a chance, just like with real estate, there's always a chance that, suddenly you own these 2 houses and the school district comes in and says, look, that house you bought for $100,000, we want to buy that land for $350,000. And you go, oh my God.
Yeah,
that's
the hell?
insane. Right.
Yeah.
That happens. That's happened to me. But so there's always that chance. There's always a chance I have a couple of videos and next thing you know, my channel blows up. But even if it doesn't, if I just keep doing what I'm doing.
Feel good.
Well, it gives you purpose.
Yes. That's the number one thing, especially with all the veterans. They've been just like prison. You go to prison, you got this set schedule, you set eating, they tell you everything you have to do, and you get out, and now you have no one telling you what to do at all. You have no purpose anymore because it just ended like that. So you got to find something quick.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you end up in the part of the 22.
Yeah. The other thing is too, there are communities to me, I don't mind helping out other YouTubers because I get it. Just like you said, I know what you're going through. I know what you're doing. I don't mind helping you out. I don't mind answering questions. I don't mind that because I get it. And there are, like I said, there are communities. A lot of guys are willing to help each other. And there are communities, like there's Podfest and there are these different types of groups that get together and they help one another.
Yeah, and this is for almost anything. Like I found this out with our digital marketing thing too. You just end up running into people, entrepreneurs or whatever, and they genuinely care to help. And it's something that you don't find often. It's an easy thing to do too, like especially a podcast. No one reads too much anymore.
Right.
That's a given. So
sorry.
So
I can't.
Is it coming from all the way over there?
Yeah, only because it's connected to my computer, and I don't know how to shut it off. Like I can turn this off, but if somebody calls, my computer still rings. Does it turn it? Sometimes I'll turn the volume down or turn it on mute. Then it doesn't do it, but I didn't do that this time.
Yeah. But yeah, you end up finding a group, and whatever you create, especially when you're creating something, because if you're creating something, other people are creating it.
Yeah.
And now you always come together. It's always ending up in a community. No one ends up doing it alone.
Yeah. Well,
no one ends up.
It's an effort.
Yeah.
It's an effort.
And then
you got to make
it's
an
an easy way for someone else to see you're trying to make an effort. You don't want to show up to someone and say, "Hey, 30 years old. What'd you do?" Well, I was in the Army for 4 years, and next 6 I just lived off my paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you want to be like, no, I got this going on. I got this going on. I got this going on.
Right,
and then they're like, oh, well, how could I help you?
Yeah.
So
yeah, people are always, Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right.
But thank you. Thank you so much, man.
No, I have no
awesome.
problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure that, so we'll leave the link to your YouTube channel in the description. And, yeah, definitely. I mean, good luck, and we'll have to do it again, and we'll see how the channel grows.
Yeah,
and we'll keep coming back. And I appreciate you coming. And
yeah, mine's just online too. Or if I'm supposed to move here soon too. So
what's online?
My podcast, everything. Like I don't do in-person podcasts. It's all over.
Oh yeah.
So,
it's like a Zoom, Zoom. I always say Zoom, even if it's StreamYard.
Yeah, we do Discord. It's free and easy, but yeah, it's all online. So I'm supposed to be moving here soon. So hopefully, if I get a place, I could start setting up something and we could have you on. But
hey, I appreciate you guys watching. And if you like the video, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos like this. Share the video and leave me a comment in the comment section. Also, I'm going to leave the description. In the description box, I'll leave the link to Mind Over Matter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate it. And I have a Patreon. Join my Patreon. It's like $10. It's like $10. And there's going to be a bunch of there's little Patreon commercials. Oh, bro, I have these Patreon.
You got commercials. You got commercials. You got paintings, commercials. I got nothing, man. No, bro, I got merch. It's a nice hat, I guess.
No way. I got, look. Oh, wait, here, I'll show you right. I got, hold on. I'm going to show you right now. Look at this commercial.
Did you like get it made by someone?
No, I made it, bro. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. Watch. Look.
His organ donation card lists his charisma. His smile is so contagious. Vaccines have been created for it. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crime, but when I do, it's bank fraud.
Look, wait.
Stay greedy, my friend.
Support this. That's my Patreon.
There we go.
Listen, and I've
never seen something like that, actually. Now that I think about it, I've never really seen a Patreon commercial.
What? Look. I got like 6 of them.
There we go. Would Julian show you how to make those? Those look just like his. Those are good, man.
No, Julian's are better. Julian really knows what he really has like a system. He's very good at it.
It takes him like 12 hours to make.
Oh, I know. But I only did this. So I only do these. These run in the, like as we're going, all of a sudden it'll break to a commercial. So I have it'll break to one of these. Not in the, this is the, like the shorts version. Yeah. But I actually have a wide version that will play. And so they'll play, and it's just for Patreon. And so people join Patreon.
Wow.
Like I'm also doing them so that I can, I'm going to put at the end of the podcast, I'm going to start doing it so that I made all these videos about my books. So I have these shorts that are 1 minute, somewhere a minute and 20 seconds or so. And they're basically the back jacket cover of the book where I read the book. And it's the same thing, just like this. Like it has a guy talks about this guy or that, whoever I did the thing on. Same thing, I'm going to play those. Like, I'm trying to, because, YouTube
it's more of a business now.
And YouTube doesn't pay all the bills. And I forget to say, join Patreon.
Yeah, click that like button, all that shit.
And keep in mind, too, the average person is only watching, out of a 2-hour video, they might watch 25%.
You should probably do your outro. You interrupted.
With this?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
You can do an outro.
I'm fine with it. I mean,
click that like button.
But I'll just finish it. So whatever you like, but honestly, you can play. I don't care. Listen, the idea that anybody's going to watch this much of the podcast, nobody gets to this point.
Right.
Nobody gets to this point.
Right. You
And
probably cut it off after you said, "All right, you guys ready?"
see,
and then you
I
cut it off.
dropped the whole wanting to be perfection thing.
Yeah.
I dropped that a long time ago. These guys are still going for that. They're still like, yeah, you really need to do this. Stop. Nobody's watching. So, all right. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Join Patreon so I can work more on taking this more seriously. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. See ya.